Step 1, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Yo, set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control and the steps you take them. I try to pick one thought, have some concentration. And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 So life ain't easy, yo, I think there's a reason though. Ups and downs, just like every different season, yo. Sometimes I'm high, other times I'm barely breathing, though. I always gotta fight and hide from the demons, yo. Negative thoughts are poison, they rot. Head full of flies, so here come the clouds. They'll never stop unless I can swap all the bad for the good in my head when I'm lost. Yeah, so I'ma fake it till I make it. Positive thoughts are overtaken, I got patience. One day at a time is how you operate a cadence. A flow, you grow, you show yourself a foundation. Stay away from all the shit that causes temptation. I know that I like to do it cause it's sensation. I live my life in my head like a narration. Don't expect greatness, do my best, man, I'll take it. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
Well, good morning, my beautiful people of YouTube. It's nice to see you. It is TJIF, and the ship is leaving this morning. It is nice to see you. I'm Bullhorn Betty. We cover true crime, and as you see, my thumbnail is littered with people on here because we're covering all these cases. If you're new to my channel, you've probably been covering or following me because one specific case or another specific case, but we do cover a lot of cases, and sometimes those cases have information, and that information kind of collides together, and we have to take time and go over every one of the cases because we have some updated information. in it. So it's nice to see everybody this morning. I'm going to try to get back into saying good morning to everybody. I'm sorry, I kind of got away from it because it's just, I've been working on this and I've been throwing your good mornings up, but I think you guys like hearing me say good morning to you guys. So I want to go through here before we get too packed this morning and just say hi to as many people as I can possibly do. Shelly Kelly, good morning. Our beautiful Melanie up in the house. Bullhorn Betty is present. Jekyll and Hyde. Jay Dizzle, it's nice to see you. Hopefully I didn't mispronunciate. Chaos, it's nice to have you. Kathleen, Deanna, Tina, Christy, it's nice to see you. Pat, Phil, Peggy, Crystal Pistol, Julie, Phoenix Moons, it's nice to see you. Rain, Sandy from across the pond, it's nice to see you, love. Mama Jess, good morning, love. Mel, is it, Megan? Did I get that right, Megan? It's nice to see you, Peaches McClure. And we got a super chat. I do have a super chat. We are going to be giving away, you have to be present at the end of the show. We will be calling a name at the end of which reminds me if Sonia's in the chat. Otherwise, she'll have to get kind of caught up when she gets here. But, we're going to be giving away a shirt today. We'll be giving away a shirt today. So if you guys would like to get into the drawing of the shirt, that would be great. Otherwise, just sit here, put something positive in the chat for everybody to read. Share, give a thumbs up. All those great things are free. But if you'd like a drawing for the shirt, you'd like to help out the show, please consider. So Melanie says, good morning, Betty. Mods, Delilah mods in chat. Much love to you, Betty. I look to you. You're the best. Aw, thank you. We have Candace. It's nice to see you, Candace. Good morning. And we have Serenity. Why is there we go. Hold on a second. My chat just got stuck, so I got to drop it down and then go back up. Good morning. I sent you an email a little bit ago about Travis Decker. I actually am probably going to have to do a show for Travis Decker. There has been some new information that has come out, but I don't think, because I'm doing Brian Koberger's this morning and it's going to already be long, so I couldn't add Travis Decker in today, but we can do that this afternoon because I have been monitoring his stuff and there's a lot. It's just too much for to add into this show since it's already packed this morning, but we will get to it. Carol Bowser, it's nice to see you. Phil, football mom, hello. Let me keep going down. Ooh. Lisa Ann, I might have just jumped over a bunch of people. I apologize. Struggle is real. It's just the chat. I'm still trying to figure out this new system. Trust the process. Superman's grandma. Oh, I love that. Is just precious. That is just precious. Oh, good gracious. That's precious. It's nice to see you. Let me see if I can get this up. Yeah, none of my batteries are working. I'll have to find out a different chat extension. Maybe I just need to change my extension. Sandra, it's nice to see you. Mimi Ma, it's nice to see you. Rebecca, Oma, Diane, Jacqueline, Dixie, Belinda, good morning, and everybody else that I accidentally ended up flying over because I'm having sticky chat. Good morning. So we got a lot to go over, and I'm going to start off with, because, we've been watching baby Emanuel, and it's kind of weird because, oh, look at that. I just looked at the photo. Oh, dear gracious. Oh, Superman is certainly precious. Oh, good gracious. Ah. We have a lot of stuff. It's kind of weird, and I notice this doing this often, that we'll get into something like for example, Harmony Montgomery. It wasn't just Harmony Montgomery. Then we found out there was another child that was in the system that was missing, and I did. Gosh, these kids, man, it's sad that we have so many that we start forgetting their names. Seriously, it's just sad. But there was another girl, and then it's like, all of a sudden we had like 3 cases back to back. Oh, trust the process. I just want the shirt. Okay. I love it. Well, when Sonia gets in here, we'll have her pull some names. We'll call them at the end of the show. And then the only rule here is and some of our regulars, they they have to go to work and stuff like that. So it makes it a little more fun. I don't know. It makes it a little more fun. I'm sure probably people that hear their name called and realize they weren't here probably is not having too much fun. But I think it's fair for everybody, you got to be here. You got to be here. So we will call the names. I'll have her pull 3 names. If we can't get it, I'm going to be running. This is not going to be my last show today. So I will be running another one this afternoon. We'll pull 6, but hopefully within the first 3 we'll get it. But I've noticed over the last couple we have to go to like 6 or 9 pulls. One we had 9 name pulls before we were able to give away the item. But yeah, I know. I like the shirts. And you can get any Bullhorn Betty shirt. She's got a lot of them now. Like she's got the Search Squad. She's got I think like Team Foul Play. I like the Team Foul. I need to find, you know what? I haven't worn my, as a matter of fact, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't recall wearing my Team Foul Play shirt in a while. I'm going to tear this house up until I get my Team Foul Play shirt. I haven't worn it in a while. I now that I'm thinking about it, I don't remember where my shirt is. My team, I have 2 of them too. One with a name on it I don't like, and one without the name I don't like on it. That's how it works. So anyways, we're going to be starting off with the children. The reason why I was going on a tangent is because, like Emmanuel, then it's like, boom, we hear about this case, and boom, we hear about that case. And right after Emanuel, I believe, we were talking and touched on that police officer in Wisconsin. Some of you guys might have been here for that conversation. Some of you might not have. And he hurt his little baby, shoved a pacifier so hard into the mouth that it skinned the back of the throat and actually caused brain damage on the other side. So we have a quick update on that as well. But here's a new case. We have a new case that we're about to play.
He's in a Cleveland ICU tonight trying to recover from severe head injuries.
The mother says he was hurt earlier this month when she left her son with relatives. News 5 investigator Jonathan Walsh talks with the mom, who is worried and searching for answers.
It was a terrible scene and an unthinkable phone call that Mariah Cologne got the first week of August.
She was just like, he fell, hit his head, and he's going to the hospital.
Mariah says she let her son, 2-year-old Kyrie, spend some time with relatives, and all of a sudden, he ended up like this, where doctors had to remove a part of his skull.
It caused his brain to swell and bleed so much that they had to stop it or he wasn't going to make it.
She tells us because of how badly he was hurt, doctors and nurses told her this didn't happen from a fall.
It broke me down. I cried, and that's all I could do was cry, and couldn't do anything else.
He's been in this Cleveland hospital for nearly 3 weeks now. At one point, Mariah says he was put in a medically induced coma. He's awake now, and just days ago, he improved enough to take his breathing tube out.
This is a 2-year-old, like literally fighting for his life and have to go through all these repercussions because of 2 adults that I trusted, and it's not fair to him.
Little Kyrie was initially sent to this hospital in Elyria.
So here it is, and I just want to bring this up because, and the reason why I pulled this is because look at this. I mean, this is a woman that obviously cares about her child, and she trusted family members, and family members did this to her child. So you guys, I mean, it's getting to the point. It's sad, but it's getting to the point where this stuff is like people just have no patience anymore. That has got to come to an end. I mean, no patience for a baby? For a baby? I mean, what do you think? Do you think that they come out and they don't need nothing? They should just be able to make their own food, start walking and talking? I mean, come on. It's just, and now you got family members, and obviously she trusted them. I don't see her not trusting her family. I mean, I don't know who would, it's just horrible. Horrible.
But as soon as doctors saw just how serious his injuries were, they immediately called police.
And I want to tell you guys, like, if you guys didn't catch that, this child is improving. Thank God. Thank God. And he's 2 years old, so he will have some probably lifelong injuries because of this, but he will have an opportunity to heal. And because he's just learning how to walk, he's just learning how to talk, I'm sure he probably can more so overcome those things because he's starting to learn all those things anyways than it would be for an adult to overcome something like this. But his brain was swelling so bad, and I got to tell you, they've come a long ways in technology, because once before, pretty much when they had to remove that, you were almost absolutely certain to succumb to your injuries. And now and a lot of people still do, they do their best to try to deal with it and to keep the pain, because you guys don't realize when your brain swells inside like on the outside of your brain, on your skull, it's nice and smooth. It's got those little, lines and stuff that help define age and stuff whenever, but for the most part, your skull's fairly smooth. Well, it's much different on the inside of it. There's a lot of very sharp bone on the inside of your brain, even to the back. And when that brain hits those rough edges and is shook out of its place where it can hit those sides, it does a lot of damage in there, because people don't realize, like, you got a nice, your head's on here. You don't have like these pokey things coming out. If you did, we'd be looking at you a little funny and see if you got some flames and a tail to go with it. But, for the most of us, we don't realize that. But inside our brain, it's ragged, it's jagged, it's rigid, it's sharp. And so when your brain moves around, it slams into those sharp and it pierces that brain. It causes a lot of damage in there. So that's what happened. And these little babies, the adults have so much force that they don't even realize that they have. So we'll get off that. You guys got that. You guys got what I was trying to push with that. So here is the police officer. I know somebody sent this to me this morning. We have covered the case. This is out of Wisconsin. This is an officer that put on a badge to uphold the Constitution and make people safe, and then goes home and gets frustrated with his baby and tells him to shut the F up as he's shoving a pacifier, and it sounds like he punched. I'm sorry, it sounds like that pacifier was pushed with such force that it could have been a punch to that child. It caused brain damage or, bleeding of the brain. And when the wife wanted to take the child to the doctor, he's like, well, you know what's going to happen if you do that. So he already knew as an officer what he had done. And instead of protecting his son and worrying about what could happen to his son or how much problem, mouth full of blood, the mother says she had to clean out. And the child wasn't acting right. And that mother, with, being a mom, didn't really give a rat's ass about her man and took that child directly to the hospital, and her husband is behind bars. This is what we expect from mothers. Now, we understand there might be situations that you can't help, but you know what? There are situations that you can poke your nose in and definitely help. Sonia. Oh, I'm already putting you to work, Sonia. Good morning, love bug. I hope you're doing well. Robin, it's nice to see you, love. It's nice to see you. And Whispering Winds. And I was listening to that and I chuckled out because of what you said. You're like, I'm only here for the shirt. I started laughing and I looked over and they're showing the baby and I'm like, oh, that was inappropriate. But that's why I shouldn't read the chat. Is Mr. and Mrs. E in the chat? It's nice to see you. So here's I guess the arrangement, a court hearing for this guy. And how disgusting. Listen to this. His bond is set for $10,000. $10,000 for making a child's brain bleed. Guys, our system, I was just on TikTok, and you guys are going to, as soon as this is over, I'm going to be dropping that video on TikTok, okay? From TikTok on here. It's going to be previously recorded. I recorded it earlier today. And we have a horrific problem in this country where we're putting the rights of criminals above the rights of human beings that aren't doing anything wrong. I'm sorry. $10,000 for a crime like this, like I do believe that he is entitled to a bond. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying in this crime. And I know some people are going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe he's. Listen, I do believe a crime like this, a person is entitled to a bond. That's not making me a bad person. It's making me a reasonable person. But with that caveat that I think that they are entitled to a bond, I think it needs to be more extensive than $10,000, okay? I would like to see like maybe $100,000 bond here. But, you know, let's face it, the child is recovering. It could have been much different had the mom not. And then, you know, depending on those circumstances, then I might change my mind about whether I think a bond is appropriate. But in this situation, I do agree that a bond is appropriate. I'm absolutely appalled that it's $10,000. That's my problem, you know? I think it should, this guy's an officer. He had a different level of duty than the normal citizen. This was his son. He literally tried to keep that child from going and getting care and tried to intimidate his wife and not getting care. No, I'm sorry, that rises to a level. I'm being reasonable in saying that he deserves a bond. You know, this kind of crime does deserve a bond, but I want to see 100,000, $500,000. You know, I want to see something of significance on these violent crime bonds, especially when it's for a child, an elderly, or somebody that's disabled and at disadvantaged person. I think that those three categories deserve a little heightened circumstance, a heightened circumstance that causes the charges to be heightened and the bond to be higher. Like, I would like to see some laws like that, you know, behind the scenes for these judges, because this is getting ridiculous. Listen to here, okay? This is the truth. We've had law enforcement and judges be required to have these forced sentences, you know, not be able to have the ability to go outside of this formula that's done by each state, right? You have if you're convicted of this crime, your sentencing guidelines are from this point to this point. They did that because you would have somebody over in Washington give somebody let them out on their own recognizance, while you have somebody, say, in Florida or another state, you know, with the same exact crime being treated completely different. So they put these things so people aren't treated differently. And now we have this ridiculousness as a result of it. Why? Because when you don't really have a huge problem, or you have a minor problem, instead of just fixing the problem, they want to scrap the whole system and make it completely commingled and discombobulated, instead of having common sense involved. You know, it's the bureaucracy. It really is. $10,000 bond for this. His child's fighting for his life, or her life. I can't even remember if it was a boy or a girl. I think it was a boy. I think it was a little boy, if I remember. Let's listen. We might have an advertisement. Yeah. I forgot to check the advertisement.
The Portage police officer accused of abusing a 6-month-old son made his first court appearance today in Sauk County. Cameron Coronado appeared virtually from the Sauk County jail, where a $10,000 cash bond was set. The judge said the bail is necessary because of concerns related to Coronado's willingness to face the charges, protecting members of the community, and intimidation of witnesses. The 32-year-old...
Oh, so they took that into consideration. Oh my God. They literally took that into consideration when giving this pitiful bond. What? Oh, we don't know what's wrong with America at all. Oh, good gracious. Did you guys hear that? I'm losing my mind here. Let me back. I did not just hear that. Did they just say they took that all into consideration?
The Sauk County jail, where a $10,000 cash bond was set. The judge said the bail is necessary because of concerns related to Coronado's willingness to face the charges, protecting members of the community, and intimidation of witnesses.
And intimidation of witnesses. Oh, you have got to be. Oh my gosh. They took that into consideration, guys. In that pitiful 10,000. Now, granted, he's got to come up with the full 10,000. And they don't get, in Wisconsin, they don't have that, 10% thing. He's got to come up with the full $10,000, which is, I guess, would be equivalent to $100,000, bond. I don't know. That's a pitiful bond. I'm sorry. $10,000 for being a police officer. I mean, how many times has he lost his cool on the job and covered it up in reports? I think about crap like that when I hear this. Hey, B. Betty. BA, it's nice to see you, YouTuber. I think that when I hear crimes like this, my brain goes a lot further than the crime we're listening to, especially when I see a guy with a badge on. How many times has he lost it? If he can lose his cool with his own baby and do what he did, what did he do on the job that nobody knows about? I'm sorry. And I don't even know if they would be asking those. So let's finish this.
The 32-year-old is accused of child abuse and misdemeanor disorderly conduct. If he posts bond, Coronado would not be allowed to have contact with his wife or kids. A preliminary hearing has been set for September 3rd.
Wow. Pause it. Just pause. Just pause. So there you guys have it. Let me take this off, put my big old mug back on. So there we have it. We did cover this case very briefly. I think it might have been another case. I don't know if it was Austin Drummond's case or what the case may be, but we did cover it on the back or at the beginning of a story because it was so bizarre and literally gut-wrenching that a police officer in Wisconsin can do this to his child. So as you can imagine, it did perk my curiosity and brought it to the Bullhorn Betty channel. But I think that we're seeing it's really hard for me to express this in words, but we're seeing a lot of this out of a certain age group. Okay, more so than that certain age group from years ago. It is a certain age group. It is a certain mentality that appears to, I don't know what it is. How do these people not have control over their anger? We've got a lot of people that don't know how to properly manage frustration, anger, rejection, all the stuff we don't want to hear. Our shortcomings, people not liking us, people criticizing us. I don't even know where I want to go with this conversation. Maybe I need to table it for now, and we most likely are going to table it for now. But at the end of the day, why is this keep happening with a certain age group? This is all from the same age group as our schoolers, right? The 20s. I mean, this guy's 32, like just over the hump of 30. It's a specific group, y'all. I'm seeing now. I'm not saying that that's like I'm just seeing an ugly truth that we may not want to be considering right now. But it seems like it's rearing its ugly head, and this. I'm noticing these horrible types of crimes. I don't know. We might need to look at that. I'm not going to go through it right at the moment, but we may need to look at that. All right, guys. Now we're going to kind of get into more updates. This is going to be the update for Brian Koberger. I don't even want to say that. What is it? What are we using now? 214? We'll say Idaho 4. We'll say Idaho 4 and refer to him as 214. I think is his number. We are trying to, I think it's very important when we see these atrocities, we don't sensationalize them. I know we talk about them, and that in and of itself kind of sensationalizes some of these cases. But when we have such grotesque cases such as the Idaho 4, where it was so unnecessary, I feel like somebody should have noticed this long before Brian got here. There were a lot of things that we got right with our assessment once we knew who Brian was. And one of those assessments that I made, and I said it a long time ago, and only the people that have been with me since covering this case when I was out on the field can tell you. But I had always believed that he knew what he was going to Washington to do. I don't think he ever went there for just the PhD degree. I always thought, because when I started realizing what he was in the PhD program, I did some research. I found out there were better programs, less expensive, closer to his home. And when I realized that, then my next thought process is, why did he go all the way to Washington? So then I started thinking he must have intentionally wanted to go out there to do this act. And along with that would have been his preparation. We knew how meticulous he was. So that's when the theory came about that he purchased that knife before he ever went out to Washington. Nobody was talking about that at the time. And I said, I truly believe we are going to find out that K-bar knife was purchased before he ever went out to Washington, because if that had, then it would support that he went out to Washington to act this thing he's been thinking about for a really long time out. And now that we know and we're on this side of things, I truly believe that is a factor in this case. I think he went out there to hunt. I don't think when he bought his K-bar knife and went out to Washington State University, I don't think he had a victim in mind, just a type of victim in mind. Remember, when he was in Dr. Rumsland's class, he was able to speak to people that were in prison for really violent crimes. And he was asking them questions about like how they selected their victim and how it made them feel when they committed the crime. Just some really bizarre, creepy stuff that seemed to be okay for that class because I guess everybody was doing it. And it really bothered me that this lady, this class he took, was a lady that studied serial killers specifically. And I truly believe he got into that class because he knew there was something in him, the compulsion that he had. I think he started knowing that he was this and he wanted to hone in on what made him tick. And I think that when he went to the Dr. Rumsland's class, I think that he was able to explore himself a little more. So let me see what this is. I say, thank you, Wild Wolf. Did I miss something? Wild Wolf? Okay, y'all. I've been out sending flyers to all my people and friends over the world because we have a book from AZ on our last name. So I'm trying to make sure people know about, well, thank you. That really is sweet. I really do appreciate it, Wild Wolf. Keep up the good work. We're about to get into Sebastian Rogers and what we as a community, the true crime community, can do. And I'm getting entirely uncomfortable and sick and tired of the politicians, the sheriff, and the county bowing down to people that did terrible things to a child, being able to sit at a table and eat lunch with them. But we'll get into that in just a second. So we have we have 214. We have the Idaho 4. They were unalived on November 13th, 2022. We were out there, boots on the ground within a week and a half, I believe it was. So we were kind of later in the November month. But when we got out there, everything was kind of frozen in time, literally and figuratively. It was very, very cold, ice, snow, everything. But the house had gone untouched from that initial day. They had not come back in. They did their investigation on the 13th, and that was, they locked the house down and preserved the evidence as best that they could, sitting a stationary type of security guard. It was a Moscow Police Department guy, but then they got private security that sat on the house 24/7. So I'm imagining that cost the university a boatload of money, which I really do believe it was money that made them tear the house down. They didn't want it up anymore. anymore. They didn't want to worry about their school students breaking into the house to see what happened. You know, they wanted to make sure that they preserve the dignity and respect of the people that lost their lives in that house, while disrespecting the court hearing, in my opinion. I don't think there was any person that I saw that was okay with this other than the Chapin family at the time, the Chapin family and the university, and that really rubbed me the wrong way. But, you know, I digress. They also lost their child as well. But, you know, sometimes I understand their grief, but they're not alone. You know, there's 3 other families that should have had their voice, and their voice was stifled. And I just thought that was totally wrong on every possible level. And I support the Gonzalez, and how they were treated was just, again, very poor on Moscow, Idaho, and I will continue to say that. I will never, ever advocate for the University of Idaho. As a matter of fact, if you got kids going to universities, I would stay away from the University of Idaho, just for the way they handled this case, just for how they wanted to be so involved in an investigation where law enforcement should have been the only ones involved in that investigation, yet they had to answer to a university. You know me and that kind of crap. It doesn't fly. It just doesn't fly. So anyways, the case is over. Brian Kohberger did plead guilty, and now people are wanting the evidence because we didn't get presented evidence. As a matter of fact, then, and another reason why I will never advocate for anybody sending people to the University of Idaho, because if your child is murdered on their campus, you will get railroaded, you will be shut out, and they will try to cover this up, roll it out, and put a big old bow on it before you ever even know what happened to your child. Like, I'm sickened to my stomach about this. Absolutely sickened to my stomach. So, you know, we have to look at that for the future. And the future is that we are looking at their behavior now. I would never trust my child on their campus. If you guys watch this, and I know some people have no choice but to, but it's not like this campus was safe before this happened, okay? People were losing their life by self-harm on their campus prior to this. So, you know, I've got problems all the way around with the University of Idaho. And I think that they're, just like I say for the politicians that want to come after, you know, social media and say how horrible we are for doing our job well, you know, not all of us do, but we try very hard to work, you know, to do our job well, and to constantly be criticized because there's other people that don't take this job seriously and are all about, you know, misinformation. There's nothing we can do about that, but it's not social media. It's knuckleheads, okay? Let me just be clear. It's knuckleheads, okay? Quit painting in such a broad brush. But we use our platforms to go after those people on a political level later down the road and bring up all this stuff, and we do our stuff well. Well, the same is for University of Idaho. When we see something happen to children, and we disagree with the handling, like I'm glad that they found the guy. I've got no qualm. Like even Chris McDonough has a problem with their investigation. Him being a seasoned detective, I've got no, you know, I'm a normal average Joe, right? So from an average Joe perspective, I'm looking at, did they have a crime committed? Yes. Did they do the forensics and get evidence? Yes. Did they get the guy behind bars? Yes. So from a normal Joe's perspective, the check boxes are all in the right spot when it comes to the investigation of this case. You know, so I don't have that. Now, I'll let law enforcement pick apart, you know, better investigative stuff, but I'm not equipped to do that. I've never been a law enforcement officer. I've definitely never investigated a murder or a homicide from a detective's perspective. They would know the proper procedures and protocols to follow. We know general policies and procedures, but not in depth because we're not in the business. So he had a problem with the investigation, and he also had a problem with how involved the university was in this investigation. But what we have here is they're arguing over whether the photos should be released, including the blood spatter photos. They're trying to, and I don't agree with the leap. I think that they've stretched the body definition out so thin with their arguments, because they're trying to even have the crime scene photos that have blood spatter or spots, or, you know, I've never heard somebody being able to do that. Now they're starting to come out with laws that prevent the release of actual bodies in the crime scene, and I disagree with that as well. Totally disagree with that. Now, I think there may be, like I've talked to you guys about timing, maybe that they need to hold these back for 10 or 15 years, like a statute that, because these are new cases and families need some time to heal and grieve. But at the end of the day, just like Strategic's eyes were telling us, this is our investigation. This is the people, the public, the taxpayers that paid for this investigation. It does not belong to Moscow Police Department or the state of Idaho. It's the people. And I'm a stickler on the law. And if you have laws to prevent, body or crime scene photos that depict a body not screened out or something like that. But now they're gonna start preventing people from being able to see real autopsy photos and stuff in an educational perspective. And if they say, oh well, we'll give this exception for educational exceptions, where does that educational exception end? Is it specifically for school? Because a lot of people on these platforms educate folks and have to use stuff. We wouldn't be able to do it on YouTube, but we have other platforms that allow us to be more liberal with our content in what we show our audience. For example, Patreon. There's some sensitive topics that I'm now learning that we here on the Bullhorn Betty channel may want to consider opening up a Patreon just for those sensitive topics that we get barred or get knocked for on this platform. We can share those on a platform where adults subscribe to the platform. There's a less bar because we're not really looking for advertisements or advertisers to add on our show. So we get an opportunity to talk about sensitive topics without being censored. And so I may actually start doing a show on Patreon of these more sensitive topics that we can't really, because there's a lot of kid stuff and SA cases that I think that the public has a right to know that, for talking about them on YouTube could cause me problems with my channel. I think that's horribly misplaced. But, we still have rules that we also have to follow. So, the only other way around that is getting a private platform. So it's either setting up a website, my own website, or going through Patreon through a subscription. Either one would be subscribe base because of the content that's being on there. I got to make sure that you're over the age of 18 and that you want to watch the content, right? So I might do something like that, but I'm not sure. But at the end of the day, that's what the argument is about. They want basically all the crime scene photos not to be released. So, of course, we're in front of Judge Marshall. She's the one that's so scared of her own shadow in the first Brian Kohberger case before Judge John Judge got a hold of the case, and that was a shit show. Then I'm watching this whole thing. The city attorney literally is sitting there for an hour and 15 minutes and says nothing. Doesn't try to argue the law, doesn't try to defend the will of the public, even though she's the public's attorney. So, I think this is my message. Like, we don't have the deep pockets here on social media. This is going to be a fight that their media and mainstream media, national media is going to have to get on board with, because if they take these crime scene photos and you guys do not challenge this, you are screwed in the state of Idaho in the future. This is a huge case. This will provide a case law that will be opposite of our common goal, which is to understand these cases and what happened. I don't like cases that are shoveled under the rug. The public is pushed out of the entire case, and then we have I'm guilty plea, and nobody is held accountable. We don't know what kind of investigation it has, what kind of evidence they have. They didn't make him allocute. It was bullshit. Let's be honest. What they did in the Idaho 4 case was crap. It was absolute crap. And so now we're all trying to find out what truly happened to these 4 people, and And these a-holes are trying to keep us from what truly happened. They're literally trying, the biggest case in U.S. history, they have blocked the public out and they're trying to keep us out. And this is where our rights to know come into play. This is where it is important about those photos. It is important to make sure that law enforcement didn't do things wrong, that we learn from this so we can learn in the future, so we make sure something like this doesn't happen. But there's a lot of people with questions on both sides of the aisle, whether you're pro Bryan Kohberger or not. We all have questions with what we saw in the Bryan Kohberger case. And it is a shame. And I pray to God that we have news organizations that are willing to fight this fight. Because if you're going to wait for social media, I hate to tell you, we all broke. Okay? We are all broke. We don't make the kind of money, nor do we have the deep pockets of mainstream media or national media. And this is a huge case. And I hope to see an attorney for media, for the Associated Press, in these cases. And there were none. And that's sad. That truly is sad. We have a vested interest in this, and we're kind of pigeonholed without national media getting involved in this fight. So that's where we are. I'm going to show you a few things. I want you to hear the arguments because, quite frankly, it's the arguments that I just disagree with. I've looked at it, and they're making this huge stretch, in my opinion, a legal stretch of blood being the body, okay? Once blood is expelled, it is just blood. Okay, the body is the body. And so they're trying to really weasel in these photos because they're trying to say blood is part of the body. I'm sorry. That is a horrible, horrible argument. And it's hard for me. I know this judge is going to do it, but I'm not really a fan of Judge Marshall. I will be honest. She's a sweet woman. But she just, she's not equipped, nor are any judges, in my opinion, in Moscow equipped for this type of case, period. They're just not equipped for this type of case. I don't want to be disrespectful to this beautiful judge. She's a nice woman. It's just, I worry in Moscow because I have seen their judges. Their judges are good, but they don't have they don't have crime like this, okay? And the reality of it is when you have communities that are low crime and they don't have a lot of violence or violent crime in it, a lot of the judges don't know how to handle the cases because they're not accustomed to handling the cases. It's not like Chicago where every single case you come across or 90% of the cases are violent and you're accustomed to dealing with violent cases and the these type of complex matters. But that's what we have here. So I'm prayerful for her to make the right decision, to do the right legal research. But I'm looking at the research. I'm an AA in paralegal. I'm not even a BS in paralegal. Okay, as far as my my education and what I got my degree in, it's an AA. It's probably the lower level of a paralegal degree you can possess. And I can tell you with my low-level degree that I got in 2000, some 20 years ago, that I understand that this is, to me, a very, very, very weak argument. Very weak argument. So I'll let you guys hear it. It's going to be the first 5 minutes of this.
Filed a declaration of Lori Hopkins. And so the court will be considering all of those as evidence in the matter, leaving though open for argument per the stipulation as to whether or not there are any kind of relevancy objections or any other objections to those declarations that need to be made by the parties here today.
And this right here, Batista, she's literally sitting here. She's the Moscow City attorney, and she says zero. I don't even know why she's there. She could have just gotten a transcript or watched it just like us. I mean, she doesn't say nothing. Nothing. I didn't see her open her mouth once. But if she did, it was for a few seconds, and it was the few seconds that I skipped over to get to actually people talking.
Today, I do want to note that the court has
the law to these.
Okay, here it is.
The subject matters are the facts of the case, the uniqueness of the case and the application of the law to these unique facts. The facts. The city contends and has sworn testimony that it redacted all of the bodies in the case. We submit respectfully that that is factually inaccurate.
So this is it, okay? So Moscow police has, evidence files. They have the crime scene photos. They have where all the bodies, they didn't touch the bodies until their crime scene came in and the medical came in and the coroner came in to remove the bodies out of the house. And that's after their initial investigation. That means they have to leave those bodies there for hours, okay? When they get into those homes in situations like this. But they have had to get the crime scene units in, as you know, crime scene processing. They come in, they take pictures, they dust for prints, they go through the entire house with a fine-tooth comb. And that is all of that stuff. Those people are wearing body cam footage, so they're going through the house, and they're also, so there's nothing but recording going on during this whole entire thing. Well, those are up once a case is over and the person is either, goes through trial and is found guilty or innocent or whatever the case may be. Well, then when the case is going on and you're going to trial, we get that evidence to us during the trial of what they presented, what they have, what they're entitled to present. That stuff comes and is part of public record to us. But what they did is they got a plea deal limiting that process, and we never got to see any of the evidence against Brian Kohberger. Well, now the plea deal's done. The case is over in the sense of the courts, and people are wanting to know what happened and are now requesting all of that evidence. So according to their policies and procedures, from what I'm understanding, they're required to redact those bodies. When they're going through there and they have a body, they need to redact, either put a black box over it, or that, pixelated thingy over it. So you don't see the graphic nature of the bodies. So that's what they're saying they did. They covered the bodies. Well, you're going to hear this attorney argue that no, that's not the case, because they're releasing photos with blood, and that blood is part of the body. I disagree with that argument for a variety of reasons. I mean, I can argue abandoned biological, fluid. I mean, there's a lot of type of arguments you can do, especially like abandonment and stuff like that. As soon as it exits your body, it's no longer part of your body. I just don't agree with this argument, but this is the argument that they are arguing, that the blood is part of the body, and therefore they did not cover the entire body up. So that's kind of it in a nutshell, but I'll let him say it.
Blood, as a biological fact, is part of the body.
There you go. I disagree.
There are portions of these images that show, without any blurring, pools of blood, splattered blood, dried blood, smeared blood. Blood is part of the body.
Okay, so now I'm not going to go through all of this because we're already running late on the show, but you guys get the gist. Okay, so this is their entire argument, is that the blood somehow, once it exits the body, it's part of your body on the wall. I get that, but I'm the same with brain matter. If brain matter exits the body, it's no longer part of the body. Okay, I'm very, very particular about certain things. I would never show, and I just want to tell you guys this for absolute facts, I would never personally show on my channel, except if it's old photos, like stuff that happened back in the 40s or 50s. I have showed some crime scene photos from way back when, but I don't have any purpose to show my audience any of this graphic material. I look at graphic material a lot in this job because I've got to explain to you guys what this could mean. There's a reason why certain creators are able to express some things or how things may work, because they have knowledge that they've acquired from doing this. I can tell you, when we were going through Kylie Rodney, I watched people drown in cars. Okay, it was very hard on me to try to understand that case. I never showed that to my audience, but it was stuff that I needed to know because I need to know how bodies float, okay, in submerged cars. How am I going to learn that? Or is our audience going to ever understand that if we don't have stuff to educate us on it? And so I'm looking at this from an educational perspective and trying to identify stuff later down the road, not for clicks and views, which is, always their fall thing. Oh, they just want clicks and views. They don't really, it has nothing to do with that. I like to personally learn. I like to learn a lot of different stuff. It's very hard on me to learn some of this stuff because we look at some pretty gross material. And I'll be the first to tell you that we look at some pretty gross material. But at the end of the day, it's stuff that educates us. And so I'm just on a different argument of this whole conversation. She's withheld her ruling on this. She kept the temporary protective order in place pending her final order of the court. But if it's not an order of the court that's reasonable, I think we need to challenge it from a national perspective, because it is public information. And this particular, especially this case right here, they have pushed the entire public out. And damn it, we have a right to know what happened. And so do the families. The families have a right to know what happened. And never mind the fact that they were cut out of this entire process. They were going up there to read impact statements against this animal without even knowing what he truly did. And I know that for a fact. It's just awful. Okay, now the time has come. So many of you guys have been with me. We started this about an hour ago. I'm kind of a little behind schedule this morning. I usually try to take a first half hour to talk about these other cases, but there was so much here this morning I wanted to discuss with you before we got to Emmanuel. Is Seth. It's nice to see you, my friend. Well, actually, as a matter of fact, we got to get into you. I think I got these out of order. Hold on a second. Because I've got Sebastian stuff here. Did I skip over it? What the hell? I did skip over it. What the heck? Hold on a second. Well, anyways, let me get to that first. So, and that's why they're on the Seth saw his image and he came a running. I showed up and Craddock ran away. What a dick. That's pretty bad. I mean, think about it. That is pretty stinking bad right there. That the sheriff of a county is literally running from the father wanting answers about his missing son and why they haven't done anything to help find his son and why their county employees are meeting for lunch with his ex and the stepfather. The stepfather that had 5 CPS calls for the abuse of his stepson, Sebastian Rogers. The county Parks and Rec guy is going to lunch with him. Oh, but there's nothing to see in Sumner County. They're all uppity up there. This is the most corrupt county I can tell you I have had the displeasure of being in. I just want to go out there and I just want to be smug in front of that sheriff's face because I'd love to beg him to arrest me again. Because now I've got a shit ton of attorneys in Tennessee. I'd love to see this sheriff have one of his detectives lie on another affidavit against me again. I would love to see that. Absolutely love to see that. Good for you, Seth. Good for you. That's bullshit. I'm sorry, guys. I try to keep my mouth as PG as possible, but every now and again we go to PG-13 and sometimes rated R language here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. But I can tell you, I really don't like it. I'm trying to change my ways. I'm trying. It's just not working, folks. Just not working. But there's just some things that just get under my skin. Oh, and that brings me back, and you guys will see it. I'm going to be dropping a video that I did on TikTok on YouTube in probably a few hours, like a couple hours after we end the show. And I was telling them I'm campaigning right now on X because that's where all our politicians are. It's the easiest way to campaign in front of our politicians since the phone calls aren't working. I might as well make it public and make it nasty and just, start just laying down the bullshit, right? So if you guys can go over there, I've got several scathing, posts to Marsha Blackburn, Governor Bill Lee. I attached Dan Bongino, Pete Hegseth, the president. I've tagged everybody. I want you guys to start. I need you guys to go over there. There's like 2 posts. I need you guys to all go over there. We got like 405 people in chat. Go over there and repost that. On X. Just about everybody has an X channel. So go over there, go to Bullhorn Betty, find those 2 posts and repost them. Repost them and say something needs to be done. Sebastian's Army, something. Because we need to get some attention on this. I'm done with the corruption. I'm done with the slow walking of this case. I'm done with knowing that Chris and Katie have the in with this county and are always never held accountable because they have money and their families are flooding the county with tax money, like the builders that their family, second generation, where Kathy Bowersox works, basically building that whole entire community with impact fees. They've provided millions of dollars for their business to that county and those county officials. This is corrupt as all get out. It's the haves and the have-nots, and they are part of the haves while they have a missing child that was only with the mother. The mother disappeared this child. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So why is the stepfather smoozing with county officials? Why? And why do I have to ask permission to be on public property handing out a missing boy flyer? Because I'm not doing that. If I want to come there and stand in front of that pig fest and hand out a blessed missing person flyer, I'm going to do that, and I hope everybody else chooses to do that. As a matter of fact, it would surely be nice to see some people in the county standing on the outside of that pig fest handing out flyers and telling that the sheriff, when he comes to say, can you move it down? No, I cannot. This is public property. This is where we choose to stand, and this is where we choose to hand out these flyers. We need some people with some backbone in there. All these country folk, man, they want to act like they're these tough guys, right? They're all big and tough when they're out there on their properties, and let me do it. Yeah, but now we have a missing child, and it's like, oh, well, we don't want to rock the boat. Oh. Would you rock the boat if it was your child, or would you just lay down like the Proudfoots? Oh, no, I would be doing it. Okay. So you're not going to help the father that's trying to do this. You're not going to show up for him. You're okay with children just missing from your community and your sheriff running away from the parents that want answers. You're okay with that. You're okay with that in your community. If that's true, I'm sorry, Mr. and Mrs. E. I'm sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Car Guy. I don't know what to tell you. You guys are going to be screwed soon. I would get involved in some community politicking. I'd be down there. If you're a Democrat, be part of your DNC. If you're part of the Republican GOP, get involved. Get involved. He's a coward. It's just that. It is just simple. Just that simple. Yeah. I just want you guys to know that we're about to go over this because this is what happened. We learned yesterday. So Sebastian Rogers has been missing for over a year and a half now. February 24th, 2020, February 26th, 2024, he disappeared from his home where he was residing that evening with only his mother. His mother says she put him to bed. When she woke up, he was gone. Bullshit.
Bullshit level, DEFCON 5.
Liar. 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 Liar.
And so these people put this this song and dance on. They've got Eric Craddock, little old ignorant Eric Craddock that doesn't know his ass from his elbow, doing this search and believing everything the parent says. So much so, like Seth is explaining to them his son doesn't go running toward water. His son knows how to swim. And Eric Craddock wants to get out there and search all the streams and ponds that the father's saying, look, he's not going in the streams and ponds. So they wasted a whole bunch of time there, right? And then he decides to go out there because somebody says, well, let's play music. So he decides to do Eye of the Tiger because somebody told him that would help get Sebastian out. Like, he has always been just off in this whole entire case, and the reason why is because he was duped by his friends, Chris and Katie Proudfoot. And so they failed to do all the stuff that they were required to do, even though he came up and said, well, we've consulted with TBI and the FBI, and we're doing everything we can. Have you done forensics? Well, no. Did you take fingerprints? Well, no. Okay, so no fingerprints from the house. No forensics from the house. Then we hear from Seth Rogers and find out they didn't even lock the blessed house down. He just walked in willy-nilly, all over the scene, contaminating the whole blessed scene. They never turned the house into a crime scene, never turned the boy's bedroom into a crime scene, and they're wondering why they got no blessed evidence? Well, you gotta flip and collect the gosh darn evidence to have the blessed evidence. And now we got county officials going out to lunch with these baby abusers, these child abusers, allegedly. Cut it out. They did everything wrong. And he's running from the father right now that's demanding he turn the case over to the FBI. You know why they won't turn the case over to the FBI? Is because they probably did the worst investigation that the FBI would probably have ever seen, and they would have been made a laughingstock. Well, they're already made a laughingstock. When you lose $200 million from your own blessed state government, that should tell you how they feel about the job you are doing. Just saying. Just saying. They don't trust you, I can tell you that. My county ain't losing $200 million. My county has almost $1 billion in some stupid silos that I'm about to rock their world with. Because we're spending that money, or you're giving it back to the taxpayers. I'm sorry. I'm just who I am. But this is bull. Like, and that's what makes this conversation so frustrating, is because I have experience in both areas. I have experience in true crime, I have experience in investigative reporting, and I have an experience in freaking politics and the bullshit that goes along with it. And when I see it, I see it. And I see it in this county, but this is the worst. This is like my county was back in the 80s and 90s. Do you understand that? The crap that they're doing in Sumner County is the crap we did here in Bradenton and Manatee County back in the 80s and 90s, and we put a stop to it. And this stuff is still going on in their county to this day. Eric Craddock is incompetent. You guys made a poor decision for popularity. You went with the flow once again to get along. And look how screwed up everything is. Because you guys just didn't want to rock the boat. I think it's time for Sumner County to get new leadership there. Because I'm telling you, I'm all over this country. And when I see something this bad, this is bad. This is bad. But anyways, I'm going after everybody. We're holding everybody blessed accountable in Texas. Or excuse me, Tennessee. Everybody. And another thing, I noticed yesterday, I was going off on Bill Lee, and I kept calling him Mike. I don't like Mike Lee. I'm not a Mike Lee fan. And here I am calling Bill Mike, and I'm like, whatever. For the cuss jar. It's needed today. So we know Seth. I believe Seth is out there because he just said Eric Craddock ran from him. So if you guys are out there in the Sumner County, anywhere near and around that, please consider going out and showing some love and support to this father that's fighting for his son. You know what? He's been fighting for Sebastian Rogers since the day he disappeared. And since the day his son disappeared, his ex-wife and the stepfather have sat on their ass making excuses on why they can't help. For a year and a half, we've had nothing but a year and a half excuses from Chris and Katie on why they can't help. And the blessed, idiotic, corrupt Sheriff Snuggle Struggles, or if you want to call him, Eric Craddick, he's got to go. He's running away from a father demanding answers about his son's investigation. If that doesn't irate or enrage Sumner County community, you guys deserve what you get. And I'm going to say it just like that. I'm putting it down. I'm walking away from this conversation. So thank you, Seth. We are here for you. We love you. We love your son. We want the best. And we're sick and tired of seeing this corrupt sheriff railroad you and your son's case. There has to be some type of accountability when law enforcement does this. And they don't have, okay, so somebody, this is another thing. Before we get off this topic, I forgot all about this until just now. It just popped back into my brain. So I said, we need to start getting these investigations going, IA investigations. I didn't realize internal affairs is specific to those locales. So some police departments may have IA, some sheriff's departments may have IA. That's only if they want them. Yeah, like it's not mandatory, which I think is appalling. So we've got all these sheriffs and police stations all over. We're thinking that there's internal affairs in all of these police departments. Well, we're wrong in that assessment and an assumption. It is up to the choice of the law enforcement body whether they have an internal affairs department or a complaint department. How self-serving is that? How self-serving is that? Aw, thank you, Renee. I missed you. Let me go back here and just see. Oh my goodness. Let's just go through here. I haven't even stopped. I've been running my gator. I need to come up for air and recollect my thoughts. Thank you, guys. So Melanie says, good morning, Betty. Delilah, mods in chat. Much love to you, Betty. I look to you. You're the best. Thank you. Serenity says, good morning, Betty. I sent an email a little bit ago about Travis Decker, and we are going to be talking about Travis Decker. There's a lot going on in the Travis Decker case, folks. Why is my, there we go. Maybe it's because I lock it. Okay. And then it says, I just want the, trust the process. Like, I just want the t-shirt. I just want the t-shirt, Betty. I didn't do laundry. Need a t-shirt. That's what I was laughing about. I saw that one from Whispering Winds, but I laughed at the wrong time because we're showing a poor 2-year-old in a hospital bed. I love your dedication to all the case. I'm sick of the crap, and I'm sick of law enforcement. I love law enforcement, but you know what? They have to start respecting the public and quit lying to them. Okay, the days of law enforcement being able to give themselves a pat on the back and like Gabby Petito, there's nothing that pisses me off. That's when my frustration started. It was with the Gabby Petito case, because the reality of Gabby Petito, the reason why it took, and I screamed about this when it was there, is they moved the search. Okay, Brian Laundrie's car, his Mustang, was at the Myakkahatchee Creek Environmental Park. Okay, and it's a big park, and I get that, and it's connected by these sloughs and whatever they're called, with Carlton Reserve, which is all the way in Venice, 45 minutes away, but it's a huge area that kind of commingles together, between the two counties. And so, are the two city limit type things. And so they ended up moving the search where Brian Laundrie's body ultimately was found, where his 1,500 yards from where his Mustang was at Myakkahatchee Creek Environmental Park, and they moved it all the way over to the swamp of Carlton Reserve, 45 minutes away. They left nobody at Myakkahatchee Creek Environmental Park. Yes, all the way over there in Carlton Reserves. Yes, they were in swamp water up to their chest, but that was by choice because that's not where Brian was. He was over at Myakkahatchee Creek Environmental Park, and when they're talking about the water, we were there for 5 weeks in that park because we knew he was there. We just couldn't find him. There was no bird activity above that helped guide us to his body or anything. That whole thing, it didn't happen in Florida. We had none of that. But they came out and they're giving themselves, when he finally was found in Myakkahatchee Creek Environmental Park, 45 minutes away from where they were actually searching, they come to the public and lie to them and says, it's been a difficult because we had to work through the swamp to find him, and we were up to here with water. And it's like, that was a blessed lie. They made tactical and strategic errors, and those tactical and strategic errors cost us millions of dollars and 4 additional weeks of searches. That's the reality of Gabby Petito, but you're not going to hear that from law enforcement. You're not going to hear that in the documentaries. The only person you're going to hear that from are the people that were out there when this stuff was going on, that knows exactly what happened. I was out there every single day. Every day. I've got photos from behind the scenes. I can tell you where they were. I can mark them on the map. I can show you where they made the biggest mistake. But nobody even knows that, because media lied about it. The politicians and the sheriffs lied about it. And they continue to perpetrate and put that misinformation out there that it's now in the documentaries. And it's a total lie. A total lie. And I have the evidence to prove it. I've got the receipts. Again, I was out there for 5 weeks. I can show you on a map exactly where they were and where Brian's body was. And you can see that they were in the wrong area. The entire time, they were in the wrong blessed area. So, yes, I'm very dedicated to my cases, and I'm very dedicated. I do love law enforcement. We need law enforcement. But I need law enforcement to understand that the public can handle when they make mistakes. They are of this mindset that we can't handle the mistakes, or if there are mistakes, they're going to have to be held accountable for them. So if they just hide them, and I watch them do it, and I'm not good with that, you know. Peggy, thank you. Melanie, show Betty some love and hit the like button. Thank you, love. We've got comments. Oops, I just went up. Love your tenacity. You make things happen. You're a wonderful advocate for these children. I pray to God I am, because, you know, there's just a lot here. There's just a lot in all these cases. Period, in all these cases. Aw, Kimmy, thank you. Phoenix Moon for the cuss jar. Renee, thank you. We got Renee. Oh, welcome aboard. Welcome to this crazy family we call the Coffee Club IE, the Insane Asylum. Let the confetti fall. Guys, be careful, because I'm going to be hitting you guys up this afternoon. We need a raise. I can't tell you what it's for. It's not for me. It's not for a vacation, and it's definitely something that this channel will approve. But because of the situation at hand, I cannot say what it's for until after it's done. Okay? But we're going to have to raise, and I have to say I really just need $360 for this. Again, not for me, it's for somebody else. It's for somebody else that you guys will absolutely want to support. But I'm going to have to tell you, you guys are going to have to trust me. I will show receipts after it's all done, but not before it is. And so we've got to raise $400, and we've got to raise it, probably in the next 2 weeks, which I think in 2 weeks, $400 for this channel should be very easy to raise. But still, I know usually I come here and say, I need this for this. And it's usually for something that we need to do as a channel. This is not for this channel at all. This is not for this channel at all. It is for a case we're covering for this channel, but I can't, that's all I can tell you for right now. So if you guys do want the secret project, okay, that's what it's going to be titled, Secret Project. It's our secret operation, our secret project. Let's do secret project. I like secret project. If you guys would like to contribute to the secret project, please consider doing so. You make sure you title it Secret Project, so I can make sure we tap rally that. When I say do not send any more money for that secret project, that means we've hit our goal, okay? So please don't send me a lot of money. If you guys would like to contribute, let's contribute $5 or less, because I don't want to go over my budget, because I don't know what to do with the money if we go over $400, okay? And I don't want to have to, go through this thing of where we decide what to do with the money or anything. What we need is $400. That's it. Okay, no 401, no 402, no nothing. We just need $400, nice round number. This is a project that I can promise you each and every one of you guys will 100% agree with. Secret project, so now we're down to $380. Perfect, thank you. Thank you. And so that's where it's at. I wish I could tell you guys more, but I know you guys know why I can't. That's as much as transparent as I can say. It's not for me. It's not for a project here. It is for a case, but it's for someone else. Okay. And we'll leave it at that. All right. Now we're going to get over to Emmanuel's case. I think we spent enough time on the cases so far. We're really behind schedule, so you guys get me here just a little bit longer. And now we're going to be going over Emanuel. He's a 7-month-old baby that did not survive what law enforcement is describing as extended abuse. So it's not one abusive event that lost him his life, but rather multiple abuses that collectively ended this child's life from what I'm understanding. The mother expressed that she was abducted, or her child was abducted. She was not. She described, let's be honest, she described a horrific event. She described it was so horrific that most of us bought it at first, for at least this. Nobody goes in here and says, there was an abduction. Oh, the mom's lying. Okay, let's be honest. We come here because we want to help. I mean, at the end of the day, we want to help. We want to get these children's faces out there as quickly as possible, especially in these abduction situations. We are limited. I mean, we are always fighting against the clock in true third-party abductions, stranger danger abductions. We are fighting literally minutes, seconds, and hours. And all that stuff, everything comes to an end and all hands are on deck when we have an abduction. It's very rare that we just say, oh, the mom's lying. But there was just something about this mother and how she was explaining that didn't make sense. And I think the reason why it wasn't sold to a lot of people is because she was brandishing a black eye. And again, if you know my story, I've been abused. I've had, I've been part of the DV community for a long time. And but I have never experienced a black eye. A lot of other things happened to me, but not a specific black eye that I can recall. And so all the women in my thank you, Gwen. All the women in my chat were like, wait a minute, that eye is literally healing. Like it's not recent. It's days old. And I'm like, oh, like a day or two old. And they're like, no, this is like, it's days old. 3 to 5 days, I think somebody put in my chat, and we come to find out that it's even longer than that. Thank you, Gwen. So Gwen just gifted 10 Bullhorn Betty memberships. If you're one of the beautiful people that are popping up on this side of the screen, welcome to this crazy family we call the Coffee Club, i.e. the Insane Asylum. Grab your straitjacket in your padded room and welcome aboard, Phil. Phil coming with the 5. Thank you. Thank you. So we're down to 375. 375. Perfect. I love it. I love it. And I'll keep doing that. I'll make sure that but once we get to the things, we're ixnaying it. Okay. So don't send, when we're off the air, don't send money for the project. Only send the money for the project when we're on air so we can calculate it, because I don't want any additional funds over and above for this secret project. So thank you. I think before I reiterate everything, oh shoot, I didn't mean to do that. Hold on a second. I hit a button and it took my what I needed up here down. Oh, it was just the Brian Koberger shit, so it didn't really matter. Okay. There it is. I'm sorry. I just don't believe it just popped back up for Brian Koberger. I just don't believe that blood. I mean, yes, when it's inside the body, it's part of the body, but once it's outside of the body, it's no longer attached to the body and no longer a part of the body. So I'm sorry. I just don't agree. But let's go ahead and let Ashley Banfield kind of break us into the intro of this case. I think she does it a little bit better than I am doing it this morning.
2 weeks ago today that Jake and Rebecca Haro told police that their 7-month-old son, Emmanuel, had been kidnapped by an unknown and unidentifiable attacker who knocked Rebecca out in the parking lot of a sporting goods store. Yeah, right. Which is a terrifying story that caught the attention of the nation, right? Especially when authorities in Riverside, California called it BS. As you probably know, the Haros are both now charged with murder in their son Emmanuel's disappearance. They're also charged with lying, not to us, but to the police, because that is a crime. And 2 weeks later, there's still no trace of baby Emmanuel, who police now say may have been killed as early as August 5th. And through it all, both of these suspects remarkably cannot seem to stop telling stories. Last weekend, Rebecca gave a jailhouse interview professing the couple's innocence and declaring Jake a good dad who would never hurt a baby.
A good dad that will never hurt a baby. And I just want to remind you guys, after she made those statements, he's out in the field trying to show law enforcement where he buried this baby that he would never hurt.
Though, as we all know, he did hurt a baby, almost killed her. In 2018, he sent his own 10-week-old daughter to the hospital with life-altering injuries. She's now 7 and has been unable to feed herself or look after herself ever since. And now it's apparently Jake's turn to talk to a reporter.
Sorry, I don't know why. It sounds like I must be over. I think my CPU is kind of working overtime here. Oh, thank you, Robin. I appreciate that. Oh, thank you, Town Chat Cafe. I appreciate that. And there was one thing I wanted to do before. Okay, will do. Thank you, Robin. I'll check it right now. So let me go ahead and do the poll because the poll's no longer important for us at this point. Do you think they will restrict the evidence in the Idaho case? And 77% believes that they're going to restrict it, and 23% say they won't. I kind of am part of that 77%. I do believe that they are going to restrict it, and they're going to push it up to a higher court, and it's going to be an appellate issue. I think that's what the judge is going to end up doing. She doesn't want to make the decision for this, so she's going to force them to, push it up to appellate court and let them deal with it. I have a funny feeling. She's a smaller judge. She's a magistrate judge. She doesn't want to be on the hook for this decision and do something wrong or something like that. So I don't know how she's going to do it, but I have a funny feeling she's just going, no matter what she rules on, whether she rules to limit this or put some additional restrictions, but still we can have it. But if she restricts it too much, I just think she's just going to push it up to an appellate court, which maybe they're more appropriate in dealing with this stuff as well. So give me just a second. Let me just see. I got to calculate this before we go through some stuff real quick. Okay, we got that. This one's for the secret project. So we got another 5. So we're down to 365, and then we got another 20. So that brings us down to, what is that? 5. This will bring us to 365. And then 20 from 365 will bring us down to 345. Okay, we're at 345 right now, and then check Venmo, I think is what it is. Let me just check the other accounts and see what's what. Oh, thank you. And then we got another 25. So we're down to 320. You guys are awesome. So I think throughout the week we'll be, based upon this, I think we're going to be just fine getting to our goal. I think you guys will be very pleased with what we're going to do with this. I'm absolutely, I'm almost confident. Like I know what I know. I know my people. And once you realize what we're doing, you guys are going to fire. Thank you. Okay, so we're down to 315. Perfect. All right, so we'll stop there for right now. And then, I mean, if you guys want to send money, keep sending the money while we're on live. At the end, we'll recalculate. But as far as me calculating, we're at 315 right now. So once I get through what I'm talking about, we'll come back and see if we reduce that down. But I only want to collect while we're live. So there's, like I said, I don't want to be responsible on what we're going to do with any overages. I want to try to hit it. If we can get 400 exact, that's all I want. So we'll be running this throughout the week. So I thank you guys. I think you guys will be pleased.
From jail. A different jail than Rebecca's for sure, but undoubtedly he's flouting the same advice that her lawyer must have given her, which is, don't talk to anyone but me. You're in trouble. In Jake's interview, he didn't specifically declare himself innocent, but he did say he was being, quote, completely cooperative with investigators. I think that part, that's in the eye of the beholder. But he stated flat out to the reporter, and I quote, Rebecca is innocent. She loves her children.
That comment that was made by Jake really just, it to me seems like he implicated himself in the crime and only himself in the crime. But I think that's not going to fly. He's going to, if he realizes he's ready to take the responsibility for all of this, the brunt of all of this, and he knows his position in all of this, and he tries to distance himself, and tries to give her a way out. I think it's self-serving why he's doing it, but I feel like he's implicating himself because he's saying she's innocent but refuses to discuss what if any part he played in the death of his son. Sharon says she also said that Jake was a good father and loved his son. Go figure. Because she's still part of this. I mean, guys, no matter how we look at this, she's still an abused woman, even though she deserves to go through what she's going through. It's hard to take that mindset, that fear, and change it on a whim. So I can see her, and I don't think we calculated how abused she may actually be, because I think the reason why she's a holdout is fear. She's fearful. Right now she doesn't know which way is up or down. She knows what she did they all knew what they did was wrong. So they were trying to get out of having problems. I wanted to thank Amos for gifting 5 Bullhorn Betty memberships. If you received your Bullhorn Betty membership, please don't forget to tell Amos, Liz, thank you. And welcome to this crazy family we call the Coffee Club, i.e. the Insane Asylum. Grab your straitjacket in your padded room and welcome aboard. Aw, thank you. Thank you, Pam. She isn't innocent. And whether she's innocent or not doesn't change the fact she's an abused woman. And so we still have to, and the reason why I say abused woman is because we have to be able to understand her psychology, which is what helps explain some of the things. Not that we're giving her a pass, but we have to understand why she's doing some of the things she's doing. And I truly believe it has to do with this abuse, because she wasn't just abused. Thank you, SRK. She wasn't just abused by Jake. she was abused by her boyfriend before that, her husband before that, her other significant abuse is a cycle. You kind of, and I talk about, whenever I was going through all of this, the stuff, even though I try, you left the abuse and you give yourself some time and you start, it's just like you're attracted to the person that makes you feel what you need to feel for that moment. But then at some point they turn, you're still attracted to that toxic person. So she's been abused for a long time, not just with Jake. I doubt Jake is the only person that has put their hands on this woman, because I know I almost want to call domestic violence a mental illness in some degrees, because in reality, it really is. Why do you stay? Because your mind tells you to. Your mind is sick because of all the abuse. And I think there's just, I don't know. I'm just spitballing. I need to shut up.
He said the DA's theory that baby Emanuel suffered long-term abuse that led to his death, not true at all, quote unquote, not true at all. But he didn't offer any new accounts of where his son might be or where his son's remains might be to that reporter, that is. To other people, he's told at least 2 different stories. A source tells News Nation that after the Harrows were arrested, Jake told the police that he rolled over on Emanuel while he was sleeping, accidentally killing the baby, and then, inexplicably, decided to just bury his son's body, in the desert off a highway. Because when you have an accident in bed like that, you're going to just bury your beloved baby just in an unmarked grave somewhere off the highway. That's what we figure led to this arrest, right? And then, of course, Sunday's total boondoggle in the grass there, where an alleged child killer accompanies police on an hours-long search in a field alongside said freeway, Highway 60. Wouldn't you know it? This here search didn't turn up anything. Nothing. Weird, right? Because, they had cadaver dogs and everything, because if you had dropped that baby there, even if the wildlife had gotten to the baby, the cadaver dogs would have noticed something. And they didn't. And maybe that is because of the next story that Jake told us all. Our Brian.
So this kind of explains. You guys hear this? So he had already given one, and this has been some of the confusion because we're hearing about 2 possible confessions, or confessions in part, if you will. Cooperation, as they may want to call it. And it appears that he basically told law enforcement that he rolled over on the baby, then he realized the baby was gone. Instead of calling for attention, calling medical attention to see if there was any way to help the baby, they just decided to go take it out into Moreno Valley and bury this child somewhere out there so they can come back and mourn this child later, as according to what we're hearing. Now, I don't know any of this to be fact, only what reports are coming out, what mainstream media is saying, what social media is saying, and somewhere in between all of this lies the truth. But we did see him out there, so obviously this does kind of support that theory that he told him he buried him out there, and that if he buried him out there, then we would conclude that he at least admitted something in part. And then we hear about this next thing that she's about to talk about this Perkins operation. Now, it's a little confusing because we don't know when the Perkins operation actually happened. Did the Perkins operation happen before this? Because, even the reports that come out after the fact doesn't mean it was just reported that time, because Brian Enton is the one that broke this Perkins operation, okay? And I know Brian, I don't know his processes of how he, before he runs the report, but I know that he just doesn't run from usually one source, okay? He would, if he does run with one source, that one source would probably have to provide him some information that's overwhelming for him to run the story. And he ran the story about Jake and this Perkins operation. And what we learned from that Perkins operation is, I don't know, and I think this might be where people are confusing, because I don't think during the Perkins operation is when he was talking about rolling over on the baby. I think that was something he told law enforcement. And then we're hearing that this Perkins operation happened where there was an informant somewhere near him, either in his pod, in his cell, or in the cell next to him. And I heard that he got very emotional. He started crying. He was emotional and broke down and said that he killed the baby and threw the child out in a garbage bag and into the garbage. That's what I'm hearing is from this Perkins operation, but I don't want to call it the second, confession, in part, or whatever law enforcement would like us to use up here to make them feel better. But it sounds like there was 2 instances, but I don't know when those instances happened. They're saying basically when he was out in Moreno, that's the first one, and this jail is the second one. But I don't know that, because I know sometimes confirming information can take a day or 2 to confirm before you even run the story. So it is possible that the Perkins operation happened before they took him out here. But I really think it did happen second, personally, but I haven't heard anything definitively that tells me between these 2. But what I do know is Brian Enton is absolutely sticking by his story. He is confirmed with his resources. His sources have not walked their story back. And they're sticking to their guns. He's sticking to his guns. And obviously Ashley Banfield works with Brian Enton, their colleagues, and she's also standing by his reporting. Before I even knew what Brian Enton was going to say, if he was going to backtrack it, I believed he was going to stand on it, because everything I know about Brian is the work he does to confirm the information before he brings it to light. And so I was pleasantly surprised that he did decide to stick to his guns on this. So I consider it, and News Nation's allowing their news broadcasters to continue running the story. So I absolutely believe that this Perkins operation did in fact exist. And it seemed like the DA was trying to play word salad with us to distract from this Perkins operation, or act like it wasn't true, because it was about a confession. And I think if they would have couched the question a little bit differently, they would have gotten a different response from Mike Hestron, DA Mike Hestron. But Mike Hestron was saying, that's where you're wrong. That's where you guys always get it wrong. There was no confession. Right? It's like, okay, let's have a little professionalism there, Mr. Hestron. But let's face it, there was an operation, and there was a conversation that was directly related to the whereabouts of Emanuel, period. Whether it was a confession, whether he classifies it as a confession, he used one word to distract and humiliate the person asking it. And again, I'm not going to get into it. You guys know my feelings about this Mike Hestron and Chad Bianco. They're going to have hell to pay for those comments. At some point, they're going to be held accountable for those comments and how they treated those people inside that room. And I hope I never see that again. Because next time I see that, you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to end up getting on a plane. I'm going to end up going down there. And I'm going to end up being in a part of their press conference. And then I'm just going to lay it down. That's what's going to end up happening. I don't want to do that, but I don't like this public display of unprofessionalism toward something that I honor and respect as being a content creator on social media. And I take that job very, very seriously. And there are a lot of people just like me that equally take this job as serious as I do. And I'm getting sick and tired of law enforcement going up there and treating us like dogs, when we are constitutionally protected. And I am going to make a stand here. I'm going to make a stand everywhere across this country. Watch your step. We have rights to be here. We are going to be here. We can do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way. And you can lock us all up, and you can deal with all the many lawsuits that you're going to get from it. But I will tell you one thing I will do is I can guarantee if I keep going through this from county to county, I'm going to start suing. And when your taxpayers are sick and tired of paying me, then you guys are going to lose your job. That's what it's going to end up coming down to. So we did just get $50. Our new total for the trip is $265. $265. Dude, you guys are amazing. Perfect. We might have it done this week. Like, I was giving ourselves a couple weeks to get it, but we might have this wrapped up in a couple days. Thank you guys. That's amazing.
And learned that while behind bars, Jake told a fake inmate, either a police officer or a civilian informant in disguise, that he was the one who in fact killed his own son and put the child's body in a trash can. It's what you call a Perkins operation, when you infiltrate the jail with a jailhouse snitch, another inmate, or an actual police officer dressed up as an inmate. And you just get the guy talking. They said that's what happened with Jake Haro. He just talked.
Okay. So I'm sorry. One thing I hate about mainstream media is the fact that they have board of directors that tell them what they can and cannot say. And I'm just saying, for a trip, no, I'm not going anywhere. And no, this is for somebody else, and it's not for their trip either. So if you would like to participate, you can. But like I said, and you said you slipped, I'm not going anywhere. I'm sitting here. The only thing I'm doing is taking care of my mom when she goes in for surgery. So I don't think I slipped at all, because I've got no plans of going anywhere. This is not for me, as I clearly stated. This is not for me. This is not for anything we're doing for the channel. This is for a case that we're covering on this channel and for a specific project for that case. So if you'd like to participate with it, you're more than welcome. But the budget for that was $400, and we're down to $265. If I'm going to go on a trip, trust me, I'll come here and tell my audience I want to go out to this place. I don't have to deceive my audience at all. just to make sure, if you're new to this show, I don't deceive my audience at all. If I want to go somewhere, if I want to go to a trip and I don't have the money for it, or it's not in the budget, I come here, and if they think it's worthy of a trip for me to go to, they're going to come up with the money for me to get out there. I don't have to deceive my public. I don't have to lie to them about anything. We're all in this together, and I'm online like every day. There's no way they wouldn't know. Okay. And trust me, if I was wanting to go on vacation, I could promise you I'd want more than $400. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Mama needs some new shoes. But no, this is truly for a project that, like I said, it's going to come. It will be out soon enough. It's okay, but it will be out soon enough. But no, if I wanted to go somewhere, I'd just come here and tell the people I want to go somewhere and what the purpose of it is and how much money I need. And we'll set a timing just like we do this. Maybe it's 2 weeks to collect. And if my audience thinks it's something they want to watch from the front rows, they'll send me out. So, usually, we're at the point, outside of the court stuff and the legal expenses, we had finally got this channel out, to a point that we didn't need to raise money for trips and stuff like that. One of the reasons why I'm staying home is because we're raising money for my legal expenses, and I just don't, I feel like any penny that I have to spend on a case or something really should go to the legal expenses. So that's why I've been staying home. If you guys didn't know, I would have been out there right next to Ahmed in this case, period. If it wasn't for these legal expenses I'm dealing with right now, I would have been sitting right by Ahmed. And I can tell you, it would have been a different environment in that press conference, because I'm sorry, I would have stood out there and chewed that sheriff slap out. I'd have given him a piece of my mind, respectfully. Like, how dare you just trample on our constitutional rights? And actually, I may have withheld my question for Emanuel to ask that question had I been in there, make sure it was captured in that press conference. Respectfully. I would have been respectfully. Yeah, can you explain, I just want to say thank you for working on this, but can you explain why you feel the need to violate do you not believe in the free press here? Because I've noticed that you're being really disrespectful to the social media content creators that are here giving you their time and wanting to make sure that they get accurate information to their audience, which is what it seems that you want. Can you explain why you're trampling on their rights? I would have stood up in there and said that very respectfully. Very calmly. I wouldn't have been screaming at him or anything like that, but I'd have put him in check. And, that's where I would have been. But because of this, we've kind of been bedside. I don't know what else to call it. Bedside bedside. We've been bedside for a little while. Okay, it's worse than poolside. I think maybe that's what the next thing needs to be. Well, we're gonna raise money for Bullhorn Betty to have a pool. Okay, we need to be poolside at some point. I'm just joking. Don't send me any money to start building a pool, okay, guys? I'm just joking. I need to stop. So that's really all we have for this. But this is the guy that interviewed, okay? Let me move my big old fat cranium out of the way here. We'll get over here so you guys can see him. But this is the guy right here that interviewed not only Rebecca. He got the first interview with Rebecca, and then he was able to kind of get Jake to talk. And so I find, his observations, I could tell you this guy is not happy with social media. He has disdain for social media as well, because, out of all the people that write print press instead of news, like Fox News where they have the videos, but if you're in print, you're everything's just pretty much decimated. In print, like there is no print. You don't get magazines like you used to anymore. I mean, you just don't. So he has a reason not to like social media, but I don't.
Jake Haro did not say in our interview that he did not kill Emanuel. He said he couldn't talk about the case because of advice from his attorney.
And I still think that is, again, I think he's made himself the only person it could be with the statement that he made to this reporter.
So today, Wednesday, I visited with Jake Haro and talked to him about a wide range of things.
I just noticed that scar on his face. That looked like it was deep at one point. You don't get scars that deep right there. Like, it's indented. That's not like that looks like it might have hurt a little bit. That's not a scratch.
Most notably, I wanted to get his side of the story as to what happened with Emanuel. And he would not go into any real detail about it. He did say his wife, Rebecca, is innocent. And he said they do care for Emanuel, and to support that, he said that they'd been trying to get Emanuel his vaccinations.
I still find it odd. Is it odd for a 7-month-old to go without vaccinations for 7 months? Because they're saying it's COVID vaccine, and the way that this is coming across from this reporter, it sounds like this child didn't have any of their vaccines at 7 months old. Is that normal? Can somebody? I'm not sure about the vaccines. Oh, it is normal? Okay. Wow. I don't know why I thought they must have taken well. Yeah, okay, so we have yes and no. Are you saying yes, very odd, or maybe, hold on, let me rephrase the question. Do you find it odd that a child is waiting until 7 months old to have vaccines? It's odd, yes, or no, it's not odd, no. Okay, okay, yes, very odd. Okay. Because does my audience agree with me? It sounds like it's more than just a COVID vaccine that they're looking for. I mean, the way it sounds like is this child has not been inoculated at all. Because they're talking about vaccines, and they were trying to get the child and the doctor. Okay. Because we also heard that it's possible that this mom didn't even have a hospital birth, that she might have had an at-home birth, and there may actually not be a birth certificate. Now, that could be wild rumor. I don't know. So I can't take that as fact. I can only say that I heard it. I doubt he's ever been to a doctor. Wow. People are saying Emanuel was born at home. So there's really no real way we're going to know how or what day this child was really born, right? I mean, so is there any proof of this child? Because, I mean, you guys know just like I do. We were all confused. We heard it was like a November date, then we heard it was December. Now we're hearing it's December 24th. We heard it was December 8th. We heard it was November 8th. I mean, is it possible Okay, so now we're hearing it's December 21st. Maybe I misunderstood it because I thought they said December 24th. And December 21st, I could have just misheard the number. Okay, so everybody's saying December 21st. But then if she had this child at a birth home and never got this child a birth certificate, how, even at home birth, you can still get a birth certificate. But I'm hearing they didn't, possibly. Police confirmed. Okay, thank you, Pamela. Okay, so we do have Pamela saying police confirm this child's birthday as being 12/21/2024. Yeah, but and that comes back to that, if you have a home birth, how do we really know? Then the reason why I'm asking is because people had a lot of, obviously, I'm sure you guys had the same questions as to whether this child was 7 months old or 9 months old, and it just makes me uncomfortable when I hear how horrible these parents were and then hear that they had this child at home. The only way somebody would have a child at home is if they were these people, just normal people. Normal people don't have at-home births. There are some people that do, but many women are, they want to be because you never know what could go wrong in a birth. There's a lot of things, from the child being breached to the child having a cord wrapped around their neck. And yeah, whatever they call them, the mother, whatever, I can't remember, I don't speak all the time about it, but they are prepared to handle a lot of those things. But when you have something like preeclampsia, or you lose consciousness where minutes matter, people don't want to risk that, so they typically midwife, thank you. They typically don't want to be at home in case something like that does happen. So I don't know. I'm just, I know that if she did have this child at home, that there was a reason why, and it wasn't because she's an all-natural mother and just wanted, that this was the best answer for her child and her birth plan. I don't see her being the birth plan kind of mom, okay? I'm just saying. So it would have been or a doula. Yeah, or a doula. Yep. Birthing coach, midwife. Yep. And they are trained to handle a lot of these. Like if the child has a cord around their neck and stuff, they know how to turn the baby. They know how to, position the mom in different positions to help reduce the pressure. They're very, very good at what they do. But typically a lot of women this day and age, they don't want to be at home when they have their baby because of care. If anything could go wrong, that's, most of these women, it's their first child, and they're scared, so they like being around doctors that can help them immediately. So that was always just odd. This day and age, you don't hear a lot of those going on anymore. They were definitely, I think back in the 70s when I was born, I think they were more common, but I don't really hear about a whole lot of midwives and doulas. Do you guys know how many people use them versus traditional births? I don't know. I just think this is kind of just, I don't feel comfortable with all of it, just how they were able to keep a child off the records, how, it shows us a lot of loopholes that we need to close up for our children, our babies, especially at birth when they're at risk. And people are having home births to get around them being tested for drugs and other stuff. That wasn't the purpose of that. But you know what? I'm also constitutionalist, medical freedom, it's kind of out of both sides of the mouth type of thing here. I feel a little hypocritical, because I'm thinking of ways, but I believe in medical freedom, but at what expense? I think it's going to have to weigh on all of us, It's going to have to weigh on all of us.
This year, and had been frustrated because they hadn't been able to get them. Now, Mike Hester and the DA did say that he thought that Emanuel is dead and that he's a victim of long-term child abuse. But Jake said that's not true at all. So that's he didn't say short term, but he just said no. It's not true that Emmanuel is the victim of ongoing abuse.
Ongoing abuse. So, but you know what? That could also be based as just what we learned from DA Mike Hestron when he tried to shame everybody and try to take the focus off the Perkins investigation because somebody said confession versus statement, something stupid like that. And so he decided to criticize somebody instead of just answering the damn question. But here we have a situation where, maybe Jake doesn't believe what he was doing was ongoing or long-term abuse. Maybe he didn't feel like, since this child was born, him throwing this child down didn't constitute abuse, or the fact that every time the child screamed, he'd get up and just shake the child. He may not consider that ongoing and long-term abuse. It's about what is defined in their cranium as to what they believe rises to that level. I believe there's no way in my mind I believe Jake doesn't know what he did and doesn't know how he got here. I don't believe it. I think he absolutely knows that they're on to stuff and he's trying to split hairs over these details. And I'm not confident that his attorney didn't want him doing this interview. I'm really not. I'm not confident that his attorney was unaware of this interview because he kept it very short. He only allowed the information that I could, make the leap to say that only an attorney would want out, so to speak. And he didn't talk about the stuff his attorney didn't want him talking about. So I'm not sure if this wasn't sanctioned by his attorney, even though he's saying my attorney told me don't talk to no press, I don't know because I don't see this man being an excellent public speaker, but yet he knew how to handle himself. And I think it goes back to Sheriff Dykes's comment about how he's an experienced child abuser. That's what Sheriff Dykes called him, an experienced child abuser. Now, we're going to watch this. I haven't had a chance to watch this. I think I watched the first 2 minutes of it, and I'm like, all right, I like what he's already saying, so I sent it to me. So we're going to be doing, is this Fat? Yeah, this is the Fat and Opinionated. He has two channels. This one's on his Fat and Opinionated channel. But within the first minute of it, I obviously thought it was important enough for me to put it on my show. What is common sense saying? Hold on. Somebody's laughing at Common Sense's comment, so I wanted to go up and look at it because I wanted to laugh too. And I can't find it. Hold on, let me go back down to the bottom and go back up just ever so slightly. Come on. Where is Common Sense? I feel like... Oh, his nose hair is being used for lip hair. Oh, be nice. I was thinking the same. You're not talking about Fat and Opinionated, are you? You're talking about, what's his face? You guys can be mean all you want to Jake. When I was looking at it, I'm like, are you guys talking about Fat and Opinionated? You better be nice. But you guys can talk. You guys can rag Jake all day long. You guys can. I don't even care what you say about Rebecca. Like, I don't like the lady. I can tell you that. Sailor mouth. How's my twin this morning? Actually, you're not my twin. You appear to be a little bit younger than me, but that's okay. Not by much. All right, Cupcake. Just joking. Oh, it does look awful. No, we were talking about the reporter. Oh, good. I gotta be honest. The reporter looks nice, but you guys, he reminds me of like the 70s dad. Okay, you guys know what I'm talking. Red, right? That 70s show. Like he reminds me of that kind. Even though he doesn't look like him, he doesn't look like Red, but he just has that demeanor about him. Like, he just doesn't. I don't know. But yeah, the reporter, I can tell you, he is not a fan of social media, and he was on Law and Crime. He wasn't with Jesse Weber. What's the other guy that they anyways, he was on there, and you could hear him almost dog social media, and the reporter ended up coming very skillfully coming back and, you know, bringing back in social media and the great things that social media could do or something like that. And I'm like, you know, he wasn't as brutal as Bullhorn Betty, but he was very tactful. That's one thing Bullhorn Betty doesn't have is tact. Okay, I just don't have tact. I'm not getting it anytime soon. It is a shortcoming, okay, that I'm not eager to work on anytime soon, okay. But he's got a little tact, but I liked how he was able to kind of put him in his place without putting him in his place, and the guy knew what he was doing because you could see it on his face. The guy with the mustache and the nose hair, you could see it on his face, like he, like, you know, kind of just did something. He just did this little slight movement, and it was great. It was great. So we're not going to play that, but yeah. So here's Fat and Opinionated.
Haro press conference earlier today.
We're gonna take it. We're gonna probably sorry, Fat and Opinionated. I'll try to bounce around. Well, it's over 24 hours. I'll try to bounce around a little bit and send people over. But I have a funny feeling that this is going to be the one that he just goes off, which I agree.
Officials were calling out people who are reporting on the story. They were calling them keyboard warriors. They were criticizing them for spreading information. They were saying that, you know, everyone just needs to let them do their job. And in most cases, or in a lot of cases, I side with law enforcement on this. But in this case, let's be real, folks, it's California. I think that cases like the Emmanuel Haro case, they need eyes on them. You need people talking. You need the attention. Or else the wrongdoers in these cases aren't held accountable.
And you know, we can debate this all. This is the problem I saw, and I knew it. What did I do? I called it, didn't I? When the press conference was going on, and they had this need to tell social media about themselves and look like unprofessional a-holes. What did I tell you? I told you this was a poor presentation. This was absolutely, one, unnecessary, and two, it's going to take the focus off Emanuel and put it right on here, because they're not going to be able to get past this. You know, the news cycle, people's attention's about 2 weeks, but I'm noticing people's attention staying a little bit longer than the cardinal rule of, 2-week news cycles, right? And I have a funny feeling that, all of this is going to turn around and bite these politicians in their butt. You cannot come after social media, especially when 90% of campaigns are ran on social media. You can't come here and be disrespectful to social media and then expect us to promote you on social media when you're coming here to politic, okay? Like, we got a lot of power on these platforms, and these politicians better wake up, because I'm telling you, I'm sure this Chad Bianco I don't know if he could have made a good governor, but he would have had a better fighting chance with social media being on his side to help promote his governorship, in doing a great job with the Emmanuel Haro case, but instead he decided to piss us all off. So how do you think that's going to work for him in his future? Okay? And I'm just going to say this. I'm going to continue to say this until law enforcement and these DAs and everybody else get a flipping clue. We have a right to be here. We're going to be here. Learn to work around us or shut the pie hole. Pretty simple.
The sheriff, the DA, all of these people, they can come on the press conferences and they can put up that tough guy act the way that they always do. But the reality is they're not tough on crime. If they were as tough on crime as they are in their press conferences, Jake would have been behind bars for what he did to his daughter. So I understand that, yeah, we need to let law enforcement and investigators do their job. I understand that. I've spoken out about certain things that were happening in this case, like people breaking into Emmanuel's home, walking around these active crime scenes. And
I am one of those people. We went off. I threw some F-bombs over that. Some absolute F-bombs over that. I do not agree with that. That was an active and ongoing crime scene. We've watched this many times. Anybody in true crime that hasn't seen officers go back and go back into properties after they've already processed them, then you don't need to be a part of this if you don't even have the background to, or the research ability to see how crime scenes are done. And then you encroach on a crime scene, touch stuff at that house that's now contaminated it, like that stroller. I went off about that stroller. I went slap off about that stroller being taken off their porch and taken to that memorial, because we believe this deceased body was in that stroller. How dare you touch literally evidence that they may needed to have come back for and picked up at a later date, and it's out there now being rained on. It's out there now being touched by everybody that comes out there to that memorial. It was just piss poor thought process from these. Just piss poor. Like, what were these? You say you're a part of true crime community. When have we not stated, keep your hands off evidence? Don't touch it. If you see it, mark it off so nobody can disturb it. Mark it on your phone and send it to law enforcement so they can come out and investigate it. I had somebody jump my shit for me being out in an area a year later, and I found something open. Oh, you need gloves. It's been a year. I'm certain that any evidentiary value is gone at this point, but you know what? We still have, I when I go out searching, you guys know I bring tape. I've got yellow caution tape. We set up caution tape. We put stuff up. We make sure nobody can get into that area. We call law enforcement to come out and check it. If they don't think it's anything, then we proceed on. There's been times where we found several different items, searching, and we had to mark all those off. And then the officer had to come and look at this over here and this over here, because we didn't want to keep calling them back. So we just marked off everything we found, made one call, had the officer come here and look at this, come here and look at this, and come here and look at this. They took this, but not this. They decided to deal with this, but not this. That's how it worked. So keep your mugs. If you think it could be anything, keep your mugs off it. There's things that you don't have a choice for, okay? There just are. Because if you see a box in the middle of the woods, you're not going to call law enforcement to come out and open the box, nor is law enforcement going to come out there to open that box. So you kind of got to open the box. So how do you do that without contaminating it? You use a stick. You use gloves. Anything you want to, just not your fingers and not your biological material. Pretty simple. If it's nothing, you move on. If it's something, you stop, make everybody back up, mark the area off, immediately leave, and call law enforcement to come out and look at it. So, maybe some people just need to be educated. I don't want to assume that anybody knows anything, but let me make a cardinal rule. If you think it's evidence, leave it be and don't frickin' touch it and call it in for the people too, because the minute you remove it, the minute you fold it up and stick it in your car for evidence, you've just lost the chain of custody. Once that chain of custody is broken, it's not there are ways to get that back in, but you're causing a lot of extra work where you could have just simply stopped what you're doing, assessed the situation, and determined whether it needed to be called in. But I have to agree with Fat and Opinionated here. There are some things that are absolutely, no, this is not okay. But that was reflective of those individuals, that small group of individuals, not social media collectively. But I will tell you, they're going to get heartburn, because I'm telling you, I'm only going to put up with this shit from these officers and these departments so much.
Areas where law enforcement was searching. I have no problem calling certain stuff out, but at the same time, we have to hold law enforcement accountable as well. And the reality is, when people hurt kids in that area of the country, they aren't even really given a slap on the wrist. Jake left a kid basically a vegetable and got probation and served like 1 day in jail. So I don't want to hear the tough guy talk from any law enforcement officials, judges, or anyone else out in California. Because if this case did not get the publicity that it's getting, who knows? Jake and Rebecca may have been given a slap on the wrist again. But I understand, with that being said, I somewhat understand where they're coming from as well. I understand their frustration, just like I understand my own frustration and the frustration other people feel with law enforcement out in that area of the country. Now, On the Tira was at the press conference, and as the media was asking questions, he got a chance to ask a question as well, and you could tell that this kind of ticked them off. I want to go ahead and show you what I'm talking about really quickly, but before I do, people often ask, how can they support the channel? And the answer to that question,
it's going to be the answer to the question as everyone. You can sub, you can like, you can share, all free, or you can support a little more if you choose to.
is very simple. You can support the channel for free.
I felt bad for cutting this part out, so I'm just going to let him roll through it because I'm borrowing his stuff.
Easy and quick by simply liking the video, hit that thumbs up. Share the video on social media. Subscribe if you haven't already. Drop a comment below. Become part of the conversation. And if you want to take your support one step further, you could always donate via Cash App or Super Thanks. Never mandatory, but always greatly appreciated. Now, with that being said, I want to roll this clip in question, and then I'll be right back with more.
I'm going to exhaust. Yes, sir.
Sir, forgive me. I'm also on the Tira. I've been working with Dave diligently. I have a two-part question.
No, one question, sir. One question. I didn't say that, sir.
I'm sorry, forgive me.
I didn't say I know where the remains are.
Can you tell us, in fact, a little bit more detail so that if you do know anything, can I provide this opportunity?
So that's what pissed him off right there, is he said so he can stop looking. That's what kind of pissed them off, and I think that's why the sheriff went off on him. But it doesn't matter. It's a community effort, okay? I just had something that just came in this morning, and I don't know if I've got it up. I definitely read it, and it was crazy because this officer it's not in this area, but officer coming to the public and saying, hey, we need public help. We need public help. Well, you know what? When we provide public help or ask people to help, what ends up happening is it comes back and bites us in the ass. At the end of the day, Ahmed was a part of the community. He took the responsibility very, very, very seriously, that there was all hands on deck. He was looking. Everybody was looking, including law enforcement. And for them to have a pissing contest, again, piss poor, just these two people, that guy right there that you're looking at with that smug look on his face, and Sheriff Chad Bianco, just piss poor behavior. I'm not ashamed of social media. I'm ashamed of my politicians.
I'm in this every time. No disrespect to the person. I understand who you are. But can you please, if you have information here where you know something, can you please, so I can get some rest?
Well, you should get some rest, sir.
Thank you.
You should get some rest. But no, I can't share with you anything.
That's fine.
Look, there are professionals that are looking for the remains of this child. If the public has any information, then we ask for their help. So we don't know exactly where the remains are. We have some ideas in terms of where we're going to look and where we're going to continue to investigate.
So you see how he acts after Ahmed gets done asking his question? He's got that smirk on his face. He's being condescending.
Yes.
He's not taking Ahmed seriously. And like I was saying before I rolled the clip, I get both sides here. I get why law enforcement is frustrated by people, doing certain things in this case and maybe, getting in the middle of this investigation. But I also understand why the public is frustrated. You got to understand, for some of you all living in different places in America, You don't have the problem that these people have out there. A lot of these people are growing desperate because violent criminals are arrested and then they're released right back out on the streets. Or in often cases, they're not even arrested. People are getting away with all types of stuff out there. And I feel like people are getting desperate. And some of them feel like they got to take matters into their own hands in order for stories to be reported on, or in order for missing kids to be found, or in order for people to be held accountable for the crazy, outrageous things that they're doing out there. So I understand the frustration on both sides. But that's not all that happened in court, because someone else came up to the microphone, and you can tell that a lot of the stuff that they were saying is kind of directly aimed at Ahmed. I want to go ahead and show this clip really quickly, and then I'll be right back once again with more.
That and to the question before. A problem that we are having in this, basically even on the question that was asked 2 questions ago, is someone posts something on social media and then you all believe that it's true. I actually complimented the mainstream media because you've actually been reaching out to us for comment and actually been printing what we've told you.
Thank you.
It hasn't been the sensationalism and the wants for clicks for social media. And that is doing nothing but harming this investigation. And when you form your opinion and come in here and ask questions like that, you're not serving the public in any way. The question way earlier, get some rest. There should be no one out there looking for baby Emmanuel except for us, because all you're going to do is complicate things.
So, you know what? I disagree with this, because there's been more times than not law enforcement saying to search. And when this was going on, when this was a case that we thought an abduction was missing, I didn't hear any law enforcement officers coming out here telling people not to come out, to stop searching. As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, I heard just the opposite. Furthermore, I heard that the dumpster was reported by somebody out there. I heard that they act like that nobody assisted or helped in any way. When you have a 7-month-old child, it's all hands on deck, sir. And I'm sorry, I disagree with your...
Oh, come on now. That ain't even bullshit. That's horse shit.
Just saying. Just saying. And I think it's bothered all of us. And I think it's bothered a lot of law enforcement around the country, because law enforcement once upon a time used to have to beg people to stand up and speak up. Beg. You weren't getting crap from nobody. Nobody wanted to help you. Nobody wanted crap to do with you. If there was a homicide, nobody knew nothing. Nobody saw nothing. And nowadays we have CrimeCon and a whole huge crime genre, true crime genre out here that does nothing but help. We have watched cases that have been in their care and custody for 40 and 50 years where they can't solve them, but we have to send our content creators with sonar out there to the waters, and all of a sudden 50 and 60-year-old cases are solved. Let's not forget that. What are we going to say about those? Those have been in law enforcement's hands without social media on them for 40 and 50 years. I disagree with this pissing contest. And Chad, I just want you to understand, this performance right here just lost you your governor's race. I don't really think you had much of a chance to begin with, but you certainly don't now.
In the future. And the one thing that I emphasize, that I want to make it clear here, the reason this is happening relatively quickly and the reason why we got such a handle on this.
Do you think that they would have been able to get such a handle? Hold on, guys. Let me turn my mic off for a second. This is an important call. Give me just a second. Sorry about that, folks. All right, we got another one in. I think we're down to 225. 225 with Deborah being the last 20 because the other one was for Cuss Jar. So we're down to 225, 225. Thank you. Hold off on any more for the secret project for right now. We're going to have to regroup tomorrow with this. So just thank you guys for all your love and support, but we're going to do some of this for tomorrow as well. And we're down to 225. We went from 400. So we almost got half of it done today. Almost half of it done today. So I do appreciate it. I definitely appreciate it. I think you guys are going to... I saw one in Knoxville off of I-40 by exit 313, but I didn't hear about that one. I did hear about one behind a McDonald's. Mama Bear, would you mind sending that to me by email? I won't be able to read it online right now, but definitely would like to find. Well, if it's that, then it's probably more intact than what we imagine. So that's interesting. I'd like to get some more information on that. Good morning. Good morning. Posted in Facebook page. Okay, perfect. Thank you. But I just think that this behavior from these sheriffs and there's going to be, I'm going to say, we're going to have about as much of it as we're going to take. And I'm going to tell you, we are going to stand up and speak up. My time sitting at home is going to be coming to an end soon. I mean, we're wrapping up, I've got three cases right now that should be wrapping up. I'm hoping by the beginning of 2026. And all of our court cases will be over. We still have, funds that we've got to figure out with Tony. If you guys don't know, Tony's the one that bailed me out and paid for my first shitty attorney. Wasn't his fault. It was shitty. The guy was shitty. It was just, but he did pay for it, right? So we still have to pay that back at some point. So, but right now we're just focusing on this, and it's going to be a while. But once that's all done, guys, we're back out in the field. I mean, we're going to be on the road. We're going to be on the road probably for 2 solid years. So it's just getting this stuff behind us so we can get back out there on the road. But I'm not going to be, I don't have the tact or the patience to deal with politicians like this. What I end up doing is I get frustrated, like even with my own county commissioners. I haven't been back, right? I haven't been back because now I'm just working to remove them from their jobs. That's all I'm doing. I got no business being in there because they think they got their own mind and stuff going. And I can't help that. So when I get to a point where I'm frustrated with my government or anything like that, when I stop going, they know, oh shit, because that means I'm taking what I'm doing in front of the screen to help them, empower this county. And now I'm taking it off. So they don't know what I'm doing, but I'm working on getting them out of office. And so that's where I'm at right now. If you guys want to know, if you guys been following Manatee County Board of County Commissioners and you want to know why I haven't been there for weeks, it's because I basically told them all. I sent them an email, told them that they're destroying this county. F you, because you know me. I have no problem telling anybody to go F themselves. And this is how it is. Kiss my behind. Once you step on my toes, now you've got me up your ass. And so now, again, we did this with Carol Whitmore and Misty Servia, and now I'm going to have to do this with 2 more politicians and possibly 3. So I don't go up there. When I'm going to battle with them and I'm ready to remove their seats and ready to work, I start doing my avocation behind the scenes. And that's what people need to start doing. And this stuff going on in California, there's nothing going to fix this, guys. I'm not trying to be a political channel here. Okay? We just cover true crime, but how are we planning on fixing this if nobody's out there advocating to the people that can make changes? Right, donkeys. That's pretty much it. Everybody knows when I start going silent, it's like, what's brewing? What's brewing behind the scenes? Even you guys, when I go silent on here, you guys are in the same position. What's brewing behind the scenes, right? Because
fast is, I believe that the Inland Empire is served better by their 2 sheriff's offices than any place in the state. And this particular case doubled its efforts. So instead of having 4,500 people looking for baby Emmanuel. You had 9,000.
And I would like to know, you know what, as a matter of fact, whoever's in California, it's time for record requests. They may not be able to give them, but I want to know how many people called in tips from the public. How many people, hey, MMO, it's nice to see you. How many people called in tips? I mean, since it was all them and nothing to do with the public or what social media, how much attention social media, since it's all the arrogance of this sheriff, I mean, he did it, you know, all by himself, guys. I'd like to know how many people called in tips because of all of us talking about it. I'd like to know, since he doesn't need the public. Why are they even doing the press conference? Oh, that's right, because mainstream media is in there that will write exactly what they want them to write. There it is. There it is. I forgot about that. Yeah, that's not social media. That will never be social media.
And so how did we get all of this information? It's called investigation. And we have 2 entire departments doing nothing but sifting through evidence, searching for evidence, trying to figure out what happened, who was responsible, and how we're going to successfully prosecute it. And misinformation, lies, and purposeful misdirection is...
Okay, so you know, here on social media, if I came up here and told you this guy was a lying piece of crap, would you guys believe me? Of course not. Because we deal with what's known as these receipts there, Sheriff Bianco. And so if you're going to sit there in shame and say that we intentionally lied, I would like some examples of that. I would like something that I can research, touch, and feel, and say that what you're saying, the crap that's coming out of your mouth, is true. Because I don't think it is. I think he's being dishonest here.
Is going to do nothing but harm this investigation, and I am begging all of you with cameras out here, don't be a part of it.
Not too late. I'm Bullhorn Betty. Knock, knock. Sheriff Bianco. I'm already a part of it. I'm already a part of it. So here's something from Nancy Grace. I've already got it down at the bottom. Thank you all that are coming in here. I see that Don just subscribed. Please know that we control our chat here, so the only way you're going to be able to communicate in the chat is if you subscribe, and I require a 20-minute subscription before you ever communicate. It just keeps the trolls down. It keeps our chat nice and safe for everybody. You can debate the issues. You don't have to agree or parrot people, but you can't be rude to people. So you debate the issues, not the people. We're all adults here. Act adult. This is an adult channel. If you can't act like an adult and you act like a 2-year-old, we'll put you in the corner. But when you go to the corner, you typically don't get out because the rules are simple, okay? And if you violate the rules, we just block you. We don't even let you. There's zero tolerance here, okay? It's zero tolerance. So you break the rules, you're booted. You have to create a new account to ever talk on Bullhorn Betty's channel again. That's how we do it. Don't be a Richard. Exactly. Don't be a Richard. So if you can all follow the rules, please consider subscribing to this channel. But, you know, I know that some of the comments I say are controversial. I know sometimes I offend my own audience, but that's part of the Bullhorn Betty channel. If you can handle it, please consider subscribing and tuning in. But if you can't, you can't. We talk about a lot of different things. I talk about it from a general average Joe perspective. I get angry. I show my emotions. I fight for these cases the way I think that you would want to fight for these cases but can't because of the stigma of society or whatever holds us back. So I do that for you. And we don't, once we get a hold of a case and we kind of commit to that case, we're like a dog on a bone, okay? And that's where we're at. We're kind of a dog on a bone with the Emmanuel Haro case, and then, you know, we have other little smaller bones that we're chewing on, like wannabe Governor Chad Bianco, which I just hate to take all of his dreams and hopes away, but he's got to change his attitude and be more pro-America and pro-Constitution for anybody to be considering. We're tired of the crap being pulled out from California. We need governors we need a governor that's going to understand the Constitution and the laws, not just one or the other, but both. Okay, that's what California needs. They need better leadership, I agree, but this ain't the guy.
Moreover, it's very possible too that there is a digital blueprint putting them out in those sort of marshy, rough terrain areas where they believe the baby may have jumped. And it's possible too that the police interrogation.
I don't know what's going on with my latency issues, so just bear with me. We've got just a few more little clips. The clips are going to be TikTok after this one, and they'll go very quickly, and then we'll close out the show. Delilah, you're gonna have to sit pretty for a little bit. I know you gotta go potty, but we'll get you out there soon.
Interrogation with Jake, that they use what I call that manipulative law enforcement reconstruction technique, where they try to give him the opportunity to get off his chest what if anything happened, so he can give his version. And what it does is that they lure him out to the dumping site in the hopes that they can get a visceral response out of him and point.
Are you suggesting there's something wrong with that?
Well, and I don't want to get into Nancy Grace's commentary, but you guys see that there may have been more tactics deployed and strategy deployed with him going out there, that maybe it's possible that he went out there voluntarily more I don't know, still don't understand what came out there, but I do understand them taking out there and reading their body language, because when we found out that there was a ride-along between Chris Proudfoot and the FBI's to certain location, I told you guys that the ride-along was for them to gauge him and see, you know, how he reacts to certain areas, to try to see if they can limit those certain areas. So the FBI was solely looking at Chris and Katie predominantly after they eliminated all the RSOs in the area and realized that there's no video of this guy, I'm talking about Sebastian walking anywhere. They leaving the house, walking down the road, there's nothing. But the only videos that we do have during the time frame when he should have been walking down the road, we see two flashlights coming from the side of their house over to an unknown car. And when people blow up the images and start taking some of the blurriness out, you clearly see a person of the stature of, Chris and Katie, and one of the blobs is literally carrying something pretty large out to this vehicle. So it's really strange. Was it Chris out there, or was it some other guy she was working with to get Sebastian out of the house? I don't know. But clearly the FBI didn't take Katie on the ride-along. They took Chris on the ride-along. So that tells me something. They believed Chris. If I know anything about FBI, then that means, and they were taking him for the ride-along, that means they believe he was the one that would have taken Sebastian to a secondary location. They were looking at Chris for that, not Katie. Chris. Remember that. And so we're hearing that they did this visceral type of, review of Jake's body language while he was out there off Highway 60 in Moreno Valley, searching. It may have just been a ploy to look at him, to, look at his body language, to see what he's like when he's out there, to see if they can make any heads or tails. Are they hot? Are they cold? It sounds like they were pretty stinking cold there. But I also believe, again, I'm just going to reiterate that for the people that have just came in, is I do believe in the Perkins operation. Brian Inton has doubled down that he stands by his reporting. Nancy Grace is reporting it. New York Times is New York Post is reposting it. We've got Nancy Grace, New York Post, Brian Inton, Ashley Banfield, and the alphabet soup of mainstream media are saying this Perkins operation did happen, and that they're all stating that not only did it happen, but that Jake got emotional. And when Jake got emotional, he talked about unaliving his son. I didn't hear of any manner. I didn't hear that at this time with this Perkins operation, he's talking about rolling over on his child, which I've been hearing people commingle these two, things together. I don't think it went like that. We only know that in the Perkins operation that he admitted, from what we hear, that he admitted to killing his son and throwing his son in the garbage. That's We don't know the manner. Is he still maintaining he rolled over on him, or is he maintaining that something else happened? And if he rolled over on him, how is that explaining the enormous amount of blood that they found in the living room? When you roll over on a child, they're suffocated. There's no blood. A 7-month-old child would have had a diaper on. So there's no bodily fluids coming out of them. It would have all seeped into the diaper. So where did all this blood come from? You know, and that's what they've been saying. That's not what Bullhorn Betty says. That's what law enforcement's told us, that there's a significant amount of blood. We've even went over to the subjectiveness of significant amount of blood. What does that mean? An ounce, 2 ounces, 8 ounces? Like how much blood are we talking about here? Are we talking about a spot, a pool? I don't know.
Didn't the U.S. Supreme Court rule on that? It was called the Christian burial case, euphemistically, where the killer was lured to a scene and made to feel so guilty he blurted out where the body was. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I don't know why you're saying it like that.
I have to say that I like this defense attorney, but there's every time he's on here, like this guy's like glutton for punishment. Every time he comes on a Nancy Grace show and commentates for her, she just like throws him under the bus. He's like, "What do you think? There's anything wrong with it?" Oh, come on. You know, it's like, oh my gosh, that poor guy. He's probably used to it from her. I'm sure it probably felt really off-putting, but once you know her personality and her behavior, you really don't, it doesn't bother you as much, right? I'm sure when you guys first saw me and saw how crazy I can be in some of the things I said, you're like, oh my gosh, she's a little off-putting. But over time, you learn to love it. I love Nancy Grace. I love her back and forth. But it's just so funny because her poor little panel guests to keep coming back up. He's been on her show forever. And I keep wondering, why does he come back? All she's going to do is tear him apart. And he knows she's going to tear him apart. It's funny. And he just sits there, he lets her do her thing. And he keeps that nice, calm, demeanor. I'm sure she has to buy him, like a bottle of booze a month or something for an apology. I don't know why I feel like that.
No, it's completely lawful, but it was unsuccessful here. He stood his ground, and apparently he's not able to point them in that direction or refuse to do.
Oh, well, aren't you proud of him? He stood his ground and did.
Aren't you proud of him? He stood his ground. Okay, you guys get where I'm going with this. So anyways, it sounds like this is the new information from all of that. I'm sorry, I probably distracted you guys too much. But it was a failed operation. It sounds like that whole thing was an operation as well. So there may be some, truth behind this not being a full confession, that the DA Hestron would have it rise to. But we don't know. We don't know what's going on. Even the people, that's why when I said, I know Brian, he's going to be 99.9% sure that this Perkins operation went on, because when you're dealing with sources and other things, you can't be 100% because you're not there. It's not, you didn't observe it. So you kind of lean on but that's why it's so important when I ask people to call me, like when they come into the chat and they say, oh, I worked with this person before. I let them know, I'd love to talk to you. Please email me, but just understand I need to confirm who you are first. More times than not, I never get the email. People come in here and say, I'm family, I'm this, I'm that. And I ask them, I say, I'd love to talk to you. I'd love to pick your mind. I'll do it, on the record or off the record. You know me, if they don't want to be on the record, they don't need to be on the record. I just want the intel. I want the info. If they want to be on the record and I'm happy to put them on there, I'm fine either way. Okay. The show still goes on, as you guys can clearly see. It's just the information that I want. But when we're dealing with like Brian Enton and Nancy Grace, they have different kind of sources than we do. Okay. They've been working this for years. They've talked to a lot of politicians. They've talked to a lot of people that has classified and, top secret, certifications that that can get some of this information, and they do, and they leak it. And depending on who the source is, I would have to say this source is pretty high on the totem pole, somewhere related to this case. I don't know who his source is. I don't want to know who his source is. Okay, I'm not down like that. I know Brian. I trust Brian. If he has a source, I know his sources are good. A source is good enough that he doubled down on his reporting. So with that being said, I have to think that it's somebody that he trusts, because if it wasn't somebody he trusts, and you have an officer saying that didn't happen, then they would have retracted that unless they absolutely knew it happened. So I absolutely believe that this Perkins operation did go on. And based on the information we're hearing from that Perkins operation, I absolutely believe that if not a full confession, a confession of sorts was released during that Perkins operation. I absolutely believe that. Until more information comes forward that is otherwise. Now, the reason why they probably didn't want people knowing about the Perkins operation is because it's so soon after the Perkins operation, it may identify the informant. And that may be why they're upset about this information getting out to begin with. But he didn't focus on the fact that the Perkins operation didn't happen. He actually focused on the confession aspect of the question and derailed the entire question because she said confession versus statement. That literally would have, if the person that was asking about the statements made during this operation versus the confession, he couldn't have jumped down the lady's throat. But he did, which is, again, pretty appalling to me. But we're going to get through these things. I think you need to hear these things. This is from, I got her name but now, Murdered by Nature podcast. I really I don't know, she just is so sweet. And it sounds like she does this just to inform people about these cases. This is something she's interested in. It sounds like she has a day job. But she seems very passionate about her community. I think that's where her passion is coming from for this is her community. I think she just has a love for her community, and this kind of really affected her. And it affects everybody in different ways from the public. And I think that's why she decided to jump in and see what all she could do.
Sorry, bear with me. Court will be September 4th. That has been confirmed. It is stated that it will be at 8:30 in the morning on the 4th. I will be there bright and early. As with the last court hearing, this is the arraignment. So this is where they will plead guilty or innocent. Yeah, guilty or innocent. I don't think much information will come out of this.
It won't. This thing that's coming up there on the 4th, they're basically probably, the way I've seen it happen before, is they read the charges in the record. So one of the defendants will come up, they usually do one at a time. So they'll either start with Jake or Rebecca, and they'll basically read all the charges against them, and the judge will make sure that they weren't on drugs, that they understand what's going on, that they'll ask them some questions. And then he'll basically ask them whether they're guilty or not guilty. And usually, we very rarely see anybody stand in silent. But because of the Brian Kohberger case, we now even have that where a defendant can literally stand in silent and not say guilty or not guilty of the charge. But if that happens, the judge typically goes ahead and finds, it basically states that that he's going to find them not guilty for the purposes of blah, 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 standing in silent, whatever we saw happen to Brian Kohberger. So that would happen. But September 4th, if you're going to be there, I wouldn't fly in for this at all. We're going to have enough eyes on it. But it is not going to be a very long or anything that's going to provide any semblance of information. The one thing you may want to consider if you are covering this case and may want to fly in for this, it's going to be fairly short hearing. is if they're going to be having a press conference, any, the defense counsel or the prosecution. That would be the only thing I would want to know if I was, boots on the ground, which I'm not right now, is if that is going to happen. If that's not going to happen that day, it might be a whole lot of money for a whole lot of nothing for that particular hearing. Just
all right,
FYI.
So check out this story.
So, guys, you guys know who that face is on your screen. This is the attorney / DJ for Jake Haro. This is Vincent. And you guys know he's no longer representing Jake. And Jake was out there in Moreno Valley with law enforcement off of Highway 60. And Vincent was nowhere around him. So this is him talking about this plea deal and how proud he is of himself, which as an attorney, a defense attorney, any win that you can get for your client is a win. I think people need to start pulling record requests, like the whole file. This whole file, whatever they can get their hands on that's not redacted, so we can get an understanding of what truly happened inside this courtroom. But here is his attorney talking about that very specific case with promise, faith. And here's what the attorney said way back then. So I thought this was something that I hadn't seen this. I did obviously saw this on TikTok, but I haven't really seen this a whole lot here on YouTube. So I wanted you guys to hear it. This was from 2023.
We've been fighting misdemeanor child abuse charges for a client out of downtown Riverside for over a year. Every offer the DA has made has included jail time. We kept on trying to get a reasonable offer. We weren't pushing for
a reasonable offer for maiming a 10-week-old child, and they didn't want to do jail time. And his attorney didn't think that that was a reasonable offer. I am shocked. Shocked.
We kept on trying to get a reasonable offer. We weren't pushing for a dismissal. I wanted something reasonable. Well, when we didn't get that, we filed a motion for judicial diversion, which was heard today in downtown Riverside. After the DA...
Judicial diversion. California has judicial diversion for violent criminals to put them back on the streets. There is something seriously wrong with California. I don't know if I can live in a state that is pro-crime. I really don't. Whether I love the view or not, I don't know if, for the sake of my family and myself, that I could live in a state that has this. This is not a criminal justice system. This is not a criminal justice system. This is a victim justice system because the only people punished are the victims. You guys, California, like what the hell is going on with you? You guys have to get out there and fight for these laws and rules and take your state back. This is bad. The only people that don't like laws are the criminals, okay? Good gracious, this is bad.
They strenuously objected. The judge agreed with me and granted my client diversion. What that means?
For beating a 10-week-old baby to almost death, knowing that that child was hurt more than just one event, that it was multiple events, that this child had multiple fractures in various stages of healing. Let me repeat that. This 10-week-old child, had injuries and very broken bones throughout her poor little body in various stages of healing. And all of that was provided to this court. And they agreed that he didn't deserve jail time for this.
Me, and granted my client diversion. What that means? He has to stay out of trouble for 12 months?
12 months.
He has to make sure that he completes some child abuse classes. And in 1 year, this case is dismissed. No criminal record.
No criminal record. No criminal record. They were going to wipe this entire child abuse case off the books, folks. They were going to wipe it off the books. It would have been wiped off the books if he did not violate his probation in 2024, folks. The state of California is broken. That's not justice. That's not a justice system. And now we're looking at if they get Rebecca just on accessory after the fact, if that's what it ends up being, she could be out of jail in a year. There's something wrong with the state of California. I don't know, Pamela. I don't think California's the only one. I think, but you know what? We're not covering the cases in other states where we're seeing this problem right now. We're covering, baby Emanuel, and these problems are, I'm sure we're going to have problems like this when we get into other states with one of our cases. I don't believe California's alone in this. No, Pamela, I do not. I think there's room. You guys know me. There's always room for improvement everywhere. It's our government. Trust me. If they can screw it up, they will. Okay? I'm sorry. They will. They will.
Jake called.
Listen. Oh, I forgot about this. This is why I send myself stuff whenever I'm reviewing it, and then I pick it up for my show when it's the right time. Remember that child abuse? See, people are already... Oh, which reminds me, son, you might want to send me, if you haven't already sent me the names, you might want to go ahead and send me the names for today. You might want to send me the names for today. So, what we have here is we had that child abuse case, remember, in Moreno Valley? That happened right, like the same day or maybe the day after Rebecca and Jake were arrested, and were like a sheriff or somebody that reached out to media or something said that it was connected to Rebecca and Jake Haro. Well, I missed this when Sheriff Chad Bianco was making this statement, but I'm now starting to think that Jake called the child abuse case in on Rebecca. At least that's what this guy's implying. So I grabbed that he lets you hear this cop what Bianco says, and then it does kind of sound that way. Listen.
Jake called. He was trying to set some shit up.
See?
He was trying to set Rebecca up from the jump.
There was a call for service that was generated by Jake.
Wow.
That we investigated concerning the child abuse case. And
wow.
That's all I can give you on that. And it wasn't right.
I missed that part. I missed that. Was it Jake that called that in on Rebecca?
Hey, you guys. I'm getting a ton of comments asking about the Brian Enton video and if I saw it and do I know anything about it. So I did get this on Monday, I believe it was. I'm almost positive it's Monday. You can't see the timeline, but I got this on Monday. I'm not going to show you underneath because that's different information, but that he stated that he fell asleep on the baby, woke up, baby wasn't breathing, all of that. Exactly what they were saying. I did get that on Monday.
Okay, so you guys do see there is reports that are going out. So somebody's leaking, either it's being law enforcement is approving this information out, or somebody's leaking the information. Okay, she has if she was there and she presented herself as media, which she sounds like she has a media badge too, she would be put on the list and probably get up-to-date information, or they may have it in group chat so everybody gets the information at the same time. I don't know how that works out there with them, but obviously somebody was passing around the information from that community, and it sounds like it was legitimate information. So if you guys would like to see that, you can see that on her channel. Let me keep going and seeing if there's something important here. Oh, I I can't play the music, unfortunately. But I wanted you guys to see what they did out there. This little sign right here, every time I see it, it gives me goosebumps. Whoever did this sign for baby Emmanuel, God bless you for it, because it does something to me. Like right now, I'm covered in goosebumps, like literally from head to toe over this sign. It was just beautiful. I can't put the music on because I don't know if it's okay on here. Look at that. Look at that. Just heartbreaking. It just really is. And then here's the other stuff. Just in case if you guys wanted to see the memorial, it's grown very, very, very large. So it's hard for the community. I know something like this is hard. I know people like me coming in, makes it even more difficult at times, for these cases. I understand that. Nobody likes being put in this situation. But, I just also want it to be fair, because we didn't put this community in this situation, but we're not the type of people that are going to sit idly by when a situation like this arises. It's no disrespect to the community at large, but when we have situations like this where there's a 7-month-old baby in jeopardy, we don't care about your feelings. We don't. Coming out there and yelling at us and pleading with our good senses, you're there, you're breathing, you're above ground. We don't care. I'll be the first one that says that, as heartless as that may sound. I stand behind it. We don't care. When we're out there, trust me, when I'm out there, a neighbor comes up, I blow them off. I don't care. I truly don't care. I love you as a person, but when I'm out there working and it comes down to a 7-month-old baby, and you're sitting there yelling at me, I don't care. I really don't. And that's the hardest thing for some people to understand, because at the end of the day, I care a lot about humanity. I care a lot about children. But the children cases, I will get loud. I will pull out bullhorns. I will do whatever I can do in that community if they allow it. But if it rises to that level, we just don't go out there, making noises when law enforcement's doing their job, when everything's doing, you can't help evil. But as long as law enforcement's doing what they're doing, and if they name a suspect and that suspect's still laying in their bed, yeah, you're probably going to get a loud, angry Betty out there, wanting this person locked up. And again, I don't care about the neighbor's feelings. I just don't. I will be as respectful as they give me, but and when it comes down to it, you're rude to me, I'll be rude right back, whether you're in that neighborhood or not. Because again, it's a baby. It's a baby. So I just want you guys to understand, I'm not a horrible person. It's just when it comes down to applying pressure and getting people to do what needs to be done, sometimes it's like pulling teeth. And when you want to come up and try to make me feel guilty I don't. Okay, I just want to let you know, I don't feel guilty. I sleep just fine at night. So that whole thing, how do you sleep at night? I on a mattress firm. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. The only time I have sleepless nights is when I know that children are out there missing and we've got a whole entire search looking for them and can't find them. That's what keeps me up at night. Okay? It's not people's complaints. I'm thankful that they have complaints, quite frankly. If the neighbor's yelling at Bullhorn Betty, we know that their pulse is running, pumping well. Okay, we know that the blood is flowing. We know that they're breathing oxygen. We know that they're alive. Okay, so even the people that yell, I'm very thankful for the yelling. At least we know you're okay. In part. But that's where we are. It's a sad case. I don't want people giving up hope on Emanuel. It's pretty crappy how the sheriff and the DA treated people. But you know what? Don't forget that. Don't forget that, because 2026 is right around the corner, right? We've got some elections coming up. We got 2028 elections coming up. Guys, go to the ballot box. We don't deserve to be treated like this. And I hope people start, taking personal pride and responsibility in voting, because I'm getting sick of the crap that I'm dealing with out here. The sheriffs are off, the judges are off. Like, what the hell are we doing here, America? I mean, is this a popularity contest? Because if it is, I want off this bus. We should be looking past what cards we get in our mail and start looking at the person. Is this who we want representing us? Pull your heads out of your butts, because this is starting to affect us all. I'm sick I'm sick and tired of us voting our feelings. We need to be voting smartly, with our brain cells, with common sense, not emotions. Please help us all out. We're all in this shitty boat together, guys, if you haven't noticed. At least let's some of us survive it. We need tougher laws, tougher penalties, everything tough. Out with the old, in with the new. I'm tired of covering these cases. Wouldn't it be nice for us to come in here and say, can you believe we didn't have a violent crime last night? Everybody's saying there's no way that could happen. Why? Because we keep telling ourselves there's no way it can happen? Why should we not be moving toward no crime? Why should we keep giving excuses for having crime in our country? Nobody's going to take care of us like we're going to take care of ourselves, guys. Please. I'm sick of hearing, not only that, the stuff behind Emanuel, right? Like Jake doing this to another child. They already knew what type of man he is, and they put him out to do it to another child. I'm tired of that shit. That's the crap I'm tired of. You guys want to live and have freedoms and stuff? Fine. But get the people that are stifling the freedoms for other people off the street. And that's what they did. They stifled the freedoms of Emanuel. He doesn't get to live. He doesn't get to grow up. He doesn't get to go through puberty or get a broken heart. He's just gone. And we may never see him again. His poor little body is gone. I'm tired of that. That's what I'm tired of. Certainly, we as a society can do better than that. So, anyways, take it for what you will. Don't, that's my 2 cents. Don't spend it all in one spot. But I'm tired of this. And I'm tired of these politicians shaming us because we're sick and tired of it. Get your shit together and you won't have social media up your ass. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. All right, so let's find out who is the winner of BHB shirt. Who is the winner of BHB shirt? Ah! Well, it is your lucky day. Pamela RJHRJ, I know, is in the chat because I'm looking at her name right now. You are officially the winner of a Bullhorn Betty shirt. Reach out to you have to be in this country though. That's the only thing. So Pamela, if you're in Canada, or I don't know if Canada's extra money, but I think if you're not in the United States, it's going to get a little tricky. So hopefully you are in the United States. We found that out with YouTuber. So I now know, and I want to make sure that you are in the United States. Let me make sure you're in the United States, if you can let me know. Are you in the, okay, it sounds like she's in the United States. All right, so you need to get with Sonia. Sonia, if you don't know where she is, you can, Sonia, if you can put away like your Gmail, or not Gmail, don't put your Gmail, don't do that. Put your Facebook book in there so she can reach out to you by Messenger. Now, the only requirement we have, though, Pamela, is you got to take a picture of either your shirt or you wearing your shirt and post it on the Bullhorn Betty channel, or you can send it to me and I can post it. You don't have to put your face on it. I know some people are a little weird about faces and stuff like that. So, all right. I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy for you. But I got to say, I knew that at least the first two were in our chat. I didn't know about the third one, but as soon as I saw the first one, I just happened to look up and you were writing in the chat. So I was like, I know she's here, so there's no point in going on to the next one. So congratulations. She's got several shirts to choose from. So just pick the one that speaks to you. Pick the one that speaks to you. Congratulations. All right, guys, thank you. That is the end of the show. Thank you for being here with me this beautiful Friday. You guys have TGIF. We will be back one way or another. It might be later this afternoon. It might be early afternoon or late afternoon. I haven't decided yet, but we will be talking some more about the Decker, not the Decker case. Well, we do have some updates. I'll give you the update on the Decker case. We don't need to take a whole show for that. So if you guys know about the Travis Decker case, he's the father that unalived his 3 beautiful kids while he had a visitation with them at Rock Island Campground in Washington State. And nobody's been able to find him. Well, the FBI shut down Leavenworth, some areas in Leavenworth, which is where Rock Island Campground is, and they did a more thorough search of the area. They did a million square miles of searching for stuff. They did end up finding some items that they are taking back to have tested to see if they link at all, but they did not find Travis. I truly believe Travis was in and around Rock Island Campground, within 5 miles of Rock Island Campground, deceased. I would think 1,000,000 miles would cover my 5-mile radius. So I am also looking at my assessment of the case and seeing if I can make heads or tails of something else. I still believe I don't know why I have this belief he's deceased, and maybe that's a bad position to have, but I kind of feel like he's gone. But if he's not around Rock Island after they've done a thorough search and actually found more evidence that may be linked to him, it hasn't been linked yet, it's going to be weeks before we find out, maybe he could be on the run, and it's going to be a jagged pill to swallow that he did this to his children to go on the run. But he very well may have. I don't know. I just truly believe he's dead. But they did not find him in the area that I was absolutely certain he could be in. So we'll keep working on that, but we'll be coming back for some more Haro updates if we have anything for Haro. I think it's going to be kind of a hold up and wait. If somebody is getting some information out from a mainstream media perspective, then we'll definitely cover it. But we have a lot to go over with Austin Drummond. Okay, an awful lot to go over with the Austin Drummond case, and we'll probably be doing that this afternoon in conjunction with another story, whether it's going to be Sebastian or Lily and Jack. We haven't talked about Lily and Jack. There's some reports out that were very interesting in the Lily and Jack case. So I'll build the show for tonight, but you can see I've already got ideas of how the show's going to go. I've already done the research. It's just what are we going to put into it is basically where we're at for this afternoon's show. So I'm not sure if it's going to be early afternoon or late evening, but one way or another, we're going to have another show today to discuss more stories that we've covered and giving you guys some updates. So look forward to seeing you guys this afternoon. Take care, and we'll see you soon.